last week on Gleeboot, we got an episode that was kind of about the season 6 newbies, and we're like, maybe no thank you. And I think we all slightly became Ben Shapiro because we found Glee morally repugnant. And that's what you missed on Gleeboot.
Yeah. I literally, so I'm like editing the episode, and I was looking in our folder, like all our files. I was like, wait a second, the episode's not here. I was like, it couldn't have been Child Star. That was weeks ago, right? Nope, that was last week. Weirdly, it feels like Myron's been here forever.
Myron's been inside. The real Myron is inside our hearts all along.
Gross.
The cat was looking like...
The cat was like, that was not okay.
Gleeboot.
Welcome back to Gleeboot, the show where we get drunk and talk about rebooting Glee one episode at a time. I'm Cullen.
Allyssa.
And I'm Hannah.
Today we have a returning guest. We have Bee of Glee on the Raw.
Yay!
Yay!
All the Glee podcasts are just a conglomerate now. Just one hive brain. I'm so excited to be back with you guys. I had the best time last time. And this episode is bonkers, so can't have asked for a better one.
Yeah, I was like, we need someone who understands Sue Sylvester and everything she has done. We are so usually it's like we ask like, what's your glurney, all that. Any new feelings about Glee? I mean, you have a whole podcast where people can get your Glee feelings.
Get my glurney.
Yeah.
I will say, watching this episode, just to like a crumb of context, I've watched season 6, but I didn't like watch it for the podcast, until so I had to watch this episode just in isolation to record with y'all, and didn't rewatch the rest of season 6. Didn't
Don't do
read
that.
anything. I just was like, why not? We'll just see that. Because my other two co-hosts, Mandy and Emily, have never watched season 6. So like when we eventually get there, it's going to be just raw. But I felt very raw. Let me tell you, watching this, I was like, yeah, we'll get into it. But yeah, so just a context. This was basically my first time watching this episode. So I feel like I have not processed all the thoughts yet. Like, it was so much.
Yeah, that is. I mean, this is again all of our first time watching season 6.
Beautiful.
I feel like the Glee fandom in general just had like only some of them
like we rejected that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is a shame because it has potential. Now I know we're gonna let's just talk about the Glee keys right now. We are doing a series ballot to end the show called the Glee Keys, where people can vote in categories of all different kinds over the whole series. But we also have some special season 6 categories, and we're going to present them award show style, the ultimate Glee awards show. But some people are upset with our choices, but I'm upset with the Academy Awards.
We already have feedback on our nominations. I love
To
this.
be fair, like there's only 3 of us, and sometimes there's only 2 choices.
Yeah. And also there's like so much to go through. And so I literally like Cullen did his first, and then I went through it and I was like, I'm struggling to remember. I was like, okay, I'm going to help Allyssa out. I'm going to throw in some links here, some references for her to go through just in case. Also for me, because I was like, worst Will moment or whatever we chose. I was like, worst time Will rapped. I was like, okay, well, I need an article to tell me a list of all those times because I don't want to research that.
Exactly. I used all my resources, and I still said that something was a solo when it happened to be a duet in the actual show.
Home. Yeah.
Yes. I stand by that choice, but unfortunately it doesn't fit the category.
Yeah. Surprising. There are not a lot of musical theater solos by males.
No,
in
there's
Glee.
not.
Wow, sexist.
Yeah.
Men like theater too.
Men's right. No.
You heard it here first, folks. I guess we're a men's rights podcast.
We're meninists. Yeah. So what is it? Yeah, people were upset. They're like, this person was very sweet about it. Like they were not, this was a pleasant conversation, but they're just kind of like, yeah, season 6 is my favorite season. I'm sorry you're not really enjoying it. And I'm like, I'm sorry too, but I think that it has a lot of potential. Like, I get why someone would like this season. I think
it's therapy.
I think it's just rushed. I think a lot of these storylines could work. They're just kind of thrown together. And I mean, the show really, like, we keep giving them this bone, but it's a big one. Like, what happened with Corey at the beginning of season 5 really threw them for a loop, and they were just adjusting. And season 5 was kind of like thrown together. And then season 6, by the time they got to 6, it's like they had a better idea of where to go, but the audience wasn't there, the network support wasn't there, the energy of the actors wasn't there.
Yeah.
No,
So
it wasn't.
It's but so
very classic in hindsight moment.
Yeah. So I'm sorry season 6 doesn't get its own ballot, but we will do our best in the Gleekies to acknowledge the highs and lows of high school football, of season 6 of Glee. So yeah, today, what are we drinking? I think I've drank this the past 3 episodes. I am drinking warm cider and Fireball in a Miranda Sings TV show mug. Hitters back off.
It's a great drink.
I'm drinking a dry Riesling, which, it's not that dry. It's actually kind of sweet. And I'm like, the drier, the better. So, but it's okay. It tastes fine. It's alcohol. That's what matters.
I'm drinking a heated Shinsei sake, which is good. I like it. I like my sake warmed up because, it depends on the type of sake it is. Usually unfiltered, you want to drink cold, but this is filtered. So the way you're supposed to do it is like stick it in a container and then put the container in a pot of boiling water and heat it that way. Which is what I do.
Okay.
But I don't know, probably the microwave would work. I just feel fancy when I'm using boiling water.
Did we have warm sake when we watched? Didn't we drink that while watching The Bubble? That movie where they're like filming it's like, I think it was a Judd Apatow movie or something.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're in the giant mansion and they're filming a movie.
Yeah,
I think we're the only people that watched that movie. It had a star-studded cast and I heard nothing about it.
No idea what you're talking about. Literally, I was like, The Bubble. I was like, you mean The Boy in the Bubble? The John Travolta movie from the 90s or 80s?
It's about filming a movie during COVID.
Yes. No, I would not watch that.
I mean, I think maybe Cullen and I found it more funny than it was because we were in the film industry during COVID. So
it was not good, but it wasn't bad either. It was like, B, what are you drinking? I hope it's not the cast of
The Bubble.
The
Bubble. I'm drinking some Sauvignon Blanc. That was left over from a dinner that my wife and I went to last week. I saw it in the fridge and I was like, oh, I should drink that. Why not?
Perfect.
It was either that or make a cocktail, and that seemed like too much effort.
Yeah.
Gleeboot has really changed my relationship with alcohol because I see it now. It's like, oh, maybe I want a beer this Tuesday night. And I'm like, I'll save it for Gleeboot.
Yeah. No, seriously. And I also looked in the fridge. I was like, I also don't drink as much alcohol as I used to. We've already talked on the podcast. Sorry, recycled content. But I feel like I got most of my drinking out in Boston. But which I guess is good because when the pandemic hit, I mean, that's all.
I had to find, it's really funny because I used to have a limit, and then I turned 28 or 29, I don't know, somewhere in there. And then my limit changed and I had to figure out where it was again. So beware.
And then you were drinking different kinds of alcohol now.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's totally different. But yeah, I was like, I have nothing to drink. I was like, there's either this Snoop Dogg 19 Crimes champagne or Prosecco, whatever it is. Lyle is really into this brand and specifically the Snoop Dogg variations. It's fine. He bought it to make mimosas and then he drank all the orange juice on its own. And then I saw, this is actually, was supposed to be for a cooking wine and it tastes fine. It's actually too nice for a cooking wine, if I'm honest, because cooking wine should not be drinkable.
Depends on what you're cooking, I guess.
That's true. Like if you're drinking something, if you're eating something like fancy, it should be a good tasting wine. But if it's like, I don't know, if you're making like a sauce, it doesn't really taste that good because you're gonna burn away the alcohol anyway.
Yeah, like I always think of the episode of The Office, the dinner party, where like they come in and Pam brought wine, like, and Jan's like, "This will be great to cook with." I remember my mom explaining to me like why that was
why it was a joke.
Yeah.
Oh, and insulting, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Rise and Fall of Sue Sylvester, season 6, episode 75.
We're almost done.
Season 6, episode 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
3 left in the season.
It's like the only episode name that I actually feel like accurately describes what's happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
You don't think naming the Peanut Butter Show Circle episode where a student tries to end their own life and it's in regionals, on my way after a text Quinn sends in the last 30 seconds when she gets hit by a truck is a good naming device?
Yeah, I'm going to say no to that one, actually.
Yeah.
I know, big surprise.
Surprising. But... Very surprising. Or laryngitis, where she doesn't get laryngitis. I will never let that live down. No, not happening. I will forever remember that.
Watching Glee is all about holding grudges. It's all about
also the episode with Jesse's girl?
Tagline of both of our podcasts. Watching Glee is about holding grudges.
Yeah. It is the Jesse's girl episode because they're in the doctor's office
and
he
she
watches her change through the screen.
God.
Yeah.
Never forget. Hashtag never forget.
Never forget. That's also where's the one where she's wearing a mask and she keeps taking it off to talk? That's a different one. That's in season 3.
Oh God, what is that episode? I do remember it because we were also like triggered.
Yes,
it's the one where Will is sick, and
baby likes his soup.
Baby
is
likes
that
his soup. Yeah. But yeah, because the laryngitis. I mean, when we were doing season 1, this was pre-COVID. COVID happened in the middle of season 2, or beginning of season 2.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Again, I did not know how good I had it.
All right. So Sue Sylvester, she's rising, she's falling. I mean, is this more the fall? Has she been rising?
Yeah.
She has risen, like our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But this is all about the very deep fall. Like I think we have like a short recap of her rise, and then it's just falling, free falling.
Yes,
which they don't sing in this episode.
Missed opportunity.
They haven't done it, have they?
I don't think they've done any Tom Petty.
Really? Oh, that's good to know. Okay, well, I'm gonna add that to my list for the Gleeboot.
I would love to see Kurt cover American Girl while they're in the American Girl doll store when they go to Chicago for National.
I love it.
This is a cut scene.
It's no sillier than like what they did with puppets. Like that's kind of better, honestly.
Yeah, and it has more to do. Like, what do puppets have to do with what the Fox say?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
And American Girl is like a much better song. So
yeah.
I loved that the That's What You Missed on Glee was just Sue saying, "I'm gonna destroy the club" like 50,000 times. I fucking love that. Like sometimes Glee is so funny. And I think the episode warned us it was gonna be about Sue. Like so you know, mentally you know that, but still it's like 7/8 about Sue. Which is kind of a really high number when a lot of it is recapping a little bit. Like the superintendent finds her Hurt Locker. Like we just had episodes and so much Hurt Locker. Like, okay.
This is all just set up for a final showdown that is literally happening next episode.
Yeah, the final showdown next week. Yeah.
Yeah, the final showdown between two characters that have final showdown many times.
Next week is literally technically the story finale for season 6, and then we have the prologue episodes or epilogue episodes.
Epilogues. Yeah.
Oh my God! What?
So close, Hannah.
That is bananas to me. Fuck, I don't know. Read.
I'm like, there's so many shows I could have watched that I just I don't have the time because I'm
you know
watching
what?
Glee.
Let's pick another show in like 2 years and we'll start up another one.
Well, because people will be like, you should do, I think someone's like, you should do Once Upon a Time. You should do Pretty Little Liars. I'm like, I don't think I can.
Hannah, you and I should pick a show that Cullen hasn't seen, and then you and I can be
Ghost Adventures.
Love that.
Ghost Adventures.
Yes!
Taste of your own medicine there. I love it.
Actually, though, that would actually be kind of funny. Having to explain what an obelisk is.
And then, like, 6 years later, Cullen and I can pick a show that you haven't seen.
I love this idea. I legitimately love this idea. But yes, we do need like a 2-year hiatus in between each podcast.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know, because you could do Riverdale, and I'm like, I can't watch another, like, because it's not just watching the show. You're watching episode at a time, discussing each scene, which I don't think I could have watched season 4, 5, and 6 of Glee without doing that.
Yeah.
I'd have to be like, what just happened? Like, please, someone. Yeah. But like, it is a lot of
Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy.
Well, it's hard because like the alternative is to do a whole season, and I did that with John on his podcast.
That's so hard.
Live Split a Song, and it was
we did it too. It was
I did speed watch. I watched it on like 2x speed, but I was like, that happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
One episode I skipped.
We did Cullen, you did season 2. We did Alyssa and I did season 3, but like we were in season 4 or 5 when we recorded that, so it's been so long.
Yeah, we basically
and I think we had
watched it.
And I think Alyssa and I had both been like, yeah, we like I'm Still Standing. I think that's like a great song. And Cullen was like, you guys literally don't remember the fact that was Quinn and Artie both in wheelchairs, and we bitched about it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, because I was like, I kind of like it. And you were like, Cullen, we're judging you.
we're both like vibes alone, based like 2 years ago for us almost. That's what it felt like.
That's the whole Glee experience in a nutshell. Is like you look back, you're like, it wasn't that bad.
You get enough distance.
Like, oh, it was really bad.
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, I'm not a fan of like, I don't know, MASH, but the same could be said of like MASH, like this long running iconic show. People remember some like really great bits and stories, and
also
they watch
has
it.
Its own sort of like people leave the show and they get new people, and then they're like, we don't like this show anymore.
Yeah, but like people go back and they're like, oh, this was like this isn't as funny as I remember. Or this.
Well, I mean, it would be interesting to go back to that because I say go back to that as if everyone here has completely watched MASH. It was a show that was filmed in the 70s, 80s.
70s.
But it's the Korea War, which is in the 50s.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, you have jokes from the 50s translated through the 70s or 80s. Oh, God. No, thank you.
Yeah.
That'd be really hard now.
Well, even just like
Hot Lips Houlihan. We could talk about that for days.
I was with a coworker, and so Netflix is releasing Wednesday, that show, and I was talking about how I feel like people don't really understand the Addams Family. Like they remember the visual, but they don't really remember that they were actually like nice. They're like
the best family.
Yeah.
Healthy as fuck.
And but also that like I only saw the Addams Family a few times as a kid, but I saw the Munsters a lot. But like, could I tell you a single plot of the Munsters? Vibes alone.
I also couldn't tell you a single plot from any of the Addams Family, or
I can't remember
the movie that has Christina Ricci as Wednesday in it. I can't tell you.
People remember the Thanksgiving speech.
Yeah, because I just saw it on Tumblr. It came up.
Yeah, it comes up every year.
Every year, just like April 25th. You don't have to wear a coat. You can just wear light jackets. Her favorite date. Miss Congeniality. Anybody?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mean Girls Day. Yeah.
Mean Girls Day. Yeah.
Holiday references. Mean Girls Day. Holiday.
So okay, should we just talk? I guess. Do we start with?
Why don't we just do Rachel?
Yeah, we.
Okay. Because she's gonna take 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, shorter.
Yeah.
20 hours later.
So Rachel she's trying to get back into NIADA. There are no other schools.
Nope. I literally was like, go to Tisch. It's literally in New York, and it's a perfectly great school.
Yeah, the amount of drama schools in New York.
Yeah, I mean, she ends up actually taking a plane to go to New York to talk to Thibodeau, right? Like,
yeah, she's
a plane or a train.
Or
Not an automobile. No,
automobile.
she's not driving there. I don't
Yeah.
know that.
We didn't
She
even
can't read the signs.
She
Sorry.
we didn't even see the montage of her getting there.
Yeah,
There's no song to
and
get
she
there.
wasn't wearing a beret
Yeah.
when she got off of whatever train, you know.
That's how humble she was. No hat for New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
No hat,
She's
no
like,
montage.
that's pretentious.
So she's there. She's doing her best Rachel Berry Meek face. And the assistant is like, or the secretary is like, Madame Thibodeau is ready to see you. I wouldn't get your hopes up. She's been waiting for this moment.
I thought they were going to pull out Whoopi Goldberg, and they just did not.
Carmen Thibodeau, not played by Whoopi Goldberg this episode.
No, that was
not
weird.
going to lie, for a second when that person came out the door, I was like, did they recast Whoopi? I was like, is that what the budget's happening right now? That was my first thought, not, oh, this is her secretary.
Did they? It's like, did they not want to pay Whoopi, or did they ask Whoopi and she was like, I don't have time now?
She's like, I'm on The View.
Yeah.
I feel like Whoopi would be the kind of like, oh, I was on Glee? Like, I don't even remember that.
I'm busy arguing with Meghan McCain right now.
Like
Yeah.
She's like, wait, I played God in a Muppets movie that made Cullen's dad so upset he turned the TV off?
Yeah, so she wasn't in this, and that was kind of disappointing, but I'm also like, I get it.
Yeah.
Try to reclaim your career as much as you can.
So basically,
and that's off screen,
she gives Rachel a dressing down. She's all like, she says she's been humbled, or like she seems humbled. So Rachel is clinging on to
We're
those
taking
words.
her what she says for grant or
Face value.
Face value. Yeah, because like we don't know. Carmen Thibodeau could have completely screamed at her, even though I don't believe that would happen. But like
I do.
Rachel is seeing this through rose-colored glasses, through Rachel-colored glasses. But I mean, it was probably a verbal lashing like no other, and I would have killed to see it.
I wish she had brought Tina. Because she always needs Tina when she comes calling to Madame Thibodeau.
I wanted, well, we'll talk about when Rachel's talking about, oh yeah, she's like, she knows that I was humbled. They're all in the teacher's lounge. And two of the people at the table are actual quote unquote teachers at the school. And that's what Blaine, oh, I guess Kurt's there too, right?
No, it's Blaine. Kurt is notably not there.
Oh, okay. So it's just Blaine, Sam, Mercedes, and Rachel. Okay, so two of those people,
three
not
of them.
teachers.
Well, okay, Blaine and Rachel are unpaid volunteers, right?
Yeah, but he's not a volunteer at the school yet.
He is.
At this school?
Yeah, this happens.
The Glee Clubs have already united, right?
Sam
After
works.
This?
Yeah, so this is, we're doing it out of order, but that we learn about the incident at the beginning. I'm acting like this is a spoiler. Yeah, at the beginning. That's like the first scene. So this
is you're right. So I guess 3 out of 4.
Yeah,
Mercedes, what emotional support black one? You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Rachel is like, sorry, she's I tokenize this woman and make her support me emotionally. She needs to come past the security gate with me. And so they're sitting there and they're talking about like, well, because Mercedes and Blaine are like, good for you, keep applying. They're like, it's the opposite. They're like, you should focus on that audition, like do something other than NIADA.
They were basically like, you shouldn't be trying to get back into that school, which is correct.
Fair.
She shouldn't be trying to do that.
And she's sitting there writing a letter to Carmen Thibodeau, and I'm like, if Tina were here, Tina would be like, listen, it's not worth it anymore. I already put my neck out for you 1,000 times. Just don't do it.
Yes.
Well, I don't understand, like, why is she writing a letter when she obviously got told off? And like, if you were in the office with the person and they said, you suck, like, what's the point of writing a letter?
I guess like Rachel didn't take it that way. And I think that's kind of her issue, is that she was like, oh, there's still hope, even though she just verbally abused me.
Yeah, it's just the confusing thing, because it's like they're setting up one storyline and end up resolving another. And
they're trying to create conflict between her and Sam.
Yeah.
That is non-existent.
It made absolutely no sense.
It made no sense.
For their non-existent relationship, because there's no chemistry there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are they together at this point?
They are.
Nobody would know. I had no idea.
Nobody would know.
It's like they're casually dating.
Okay.
Are they? They made out.
Are they
and
casually fucking?
There was zero affection
Yeah.
Or like
don't even
long-term
touch.
planning.
They don't make
Like-
eye contact during sex. That is just purely
the
like
last thing I remember is
dick
them
and
like
vagina.
dancing at the wedding because
Bert and Carol.
Bert and Carol like
give
gave
him
her a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so they danced. But before that, the entire relationship was built on hypnotism.
and that's
And
so-
Vanessa Carlton. One of those is a really strong foundation.
yes. But then everything around that is like off screen, presumably, like
I
all their
mean, they-
dates and stuff.
They off-screen hooked up while they were doing that felony and giving all those students alcohol in that basement party.
And also, though, like anytime they're together, it's like cold as ice between them. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
That's
there's
weird.
no heat.
Mhm.
And like, that's why I don't understand. It's just like, just make them friends. Like, they
Well,
don't even need. I mean, they could be friends with benefits, sure, but like, I feel like even friends with benefits, like, you'd have some heat there, right?
It's just funny because Sam has had heat. He could have heat with a sweater. Like he's,
Yeah,
like he had
a slice
tension.
of pizza.
He had tension with Blaine, Mercedes, Kurt, Quinn. I mean, him and Santana, I don't think there was ever really heat there. But
I mean-
Brittany and him were cute, like
Yeah,
Sam, like, I mean, Cord has acted along the likes of Lindsay Lohan now. Like, we know he can have chemistry. That's not a knock against Lindsay. Like, but we know,
Lindsay
like,
is so easy to have chemistry
yeah,
with.
like,
Amazing actress.
he's
But
just
also-
he can do that. Like, he can
But
have
if we're
chemistry
talking
with someone.
about if it's an acting problem, perhaps his acting partner
Yeah,
was
that's
very
what
cold to him.
I'm leaning
Ice
toward-
cold.
I'm leaning towards a certain funny girl and also just script writing in
Beanie
general.
Feldstein, yeah.
Yeah,
She's
this is
horrible
Beanie's
to court
fault. Yeah. It's just there's no chemistry there, and I'm not super picky about that, and it
and
shouldn't
then
be
like
too
Sam
hard.
is like, no, you should go back to this school. Like, forget about that audition. Like, you should go back to school. Everyone should get college educated. And I'm like, well, that's a really simplified conversation you're trying to have, sir.
Plus, didn't he drop out of college?
Yeah, he
I
never
was
even
about to say,
did.
they literally
Yeah.
like, you're not in college.
He's like,
And
I
it's
want her
like,
to
That's
learn.
that's the thing. Like that was part of his argument is like, I don't want her to end up like me. And I'm like, dude, you're like
You're fine.
19 or 20.
You're
You could still
19
go.
you could still go, and you have a decent job.
And he has
Yeah.
he has good practical experience in education and coaching,
He
Yeah.
teaches
Student
health
development.
class.
Mhm.
which is still very troubling to me. But anyway,
Glee
But-
predicted the teacher shortage of 2022. Like they're just putting anybody fucking up there. Like you got a
oh
pulse.
my God,
You're
you're
up there.
right. You're so right.
You got
Oh
a
my
pulse.
God.
You won nationals, and you were an underage stripper. Qualified.
Credentials, baby.
Yeah, I mean, he has like that literally hands-on experience with students and also with Coach Beast, like getting that sort of advisor role from him. It's like, and why wouldn't he also see the value in that for Rachel? Like, yes, she fucked it up the first time, but it's like she could also get valuable experience. Like, it's the thing. I'm definitely an advocate for college, but I'm also an advocate for like going to college if you want to and if you
Mhm.
can get the funds to do it. Because like also we also need people who gain skills in the workplace outside of quote unquote traditional higher education. Like
Yeah.
that's also
Definitely.
valid.
Yeah.
So
It
it's
was
like
very they like tried to paint him as like already failing. And I'm like, well, that's odd.
and I don't think Sam would
No.
think that way about himself.
I don't think so either.
No.
No.
Yeah. So because he's like, yeah, you need to go to NIADA, and it's like this could have been an interesting. Eventually, they set up this choice because she gets a call while they're at the teachers' lounge, and she gets the audition or the
Mhm.
part. The
Yeah.
The part that
Not
she
even
went
a
to audition
callback.
for like 2
Yeah.
episodes ago or 3
the
episodes
five,
ago.
like a lot.
5
Her
episodes ago.
Bacharach week.
They also literally mentioned like, oh my God, I completely forgot about this audition. And I'm like, that you should not be putting that in your script. Don't
Yeah.
put that in your script. Don't point out the fact you forgot something you wrote about 3 weeks ago.
In the
Come on.
10-page
Yep.
script.
In the 10-page treatment.
And there's no way that Rachel, who took a plane to New York just for this audition, would forget it. It's not how
Absolutely.
it works.
No,
Yeah.
it's not how she operates.
So
Mm-mm.
she gets the part, and they're setting up this NIADA or another Broadway role, which is an interesting storyline. The episode
I think it is Hit List. Russell Simmons would write a musical like Hit List, but like not like rock pop, but like hip hop pop. That's how I'm literally seeing hit list from Smash happening. Rachel Berry.
She's replacing Catherine McPhee, Rick Caruso supporter.
Okay. I'm just going to say I have been on Pinterest lately, just like looking at fashion and stuff, just to have stuff in front of my face. And I saw some really disturbing ads because Christmas time, like literally like little like African-American plastic babies. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like for that Mardi Gras cake or if it's just for fun. No idea.
Like little
plastic babies. But I don't know if it's for the Mardi Gras cake.
Or are they for pro-life tables? I used to be given those as a kid.
Or maybe it's that. I don't want to know why that's on my Pinterest.
It'd be like, this is a baby. Yeah.
But also, the point was Catherine McPhee and I think her husband were in this like weird ad. It was just a still of them looking sexy. I think he's a sexy older man. Just like for like, I don't know. I don't even know why. And I was like, why are you here? Why are you haunting me, Catherine? Get out of here. So yeah, I forgot to text you that because I was going to take it. I think I actually took a screenshot. I forgot to send it to you guys.
Yeah, she said that she's scared to wear her Rolex out in Los Angeles. And I said, then don't. They're tacky.
Yeah. Is it because she's racist and she thinks she's going to get mugged? Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that for her. How far she's come.
So, okay, she's going to get this role. And then, so basically it's just like Sam is talking to Sue and he's like, everyone needs to go to college. We need that experience. And that's an interesting conversation to have with actors. And like, I know like when I read Jenna Fisher's book about acting, she was like, you should go to college and get that experience because she talks about the ways her education like didn't help her, but she's like, you need that background, like in this industry, like it's so competitive. You should train,
if you get into acting right away, I would think like if you're like 18 years old, and we talked about how Rachel has like no life experience. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like Niata would be incredibly important for her to develop. And that was, I think, one of my arguments why I was so upset when she like did Funny Girl or whatever. But like, I feel like, I think there's like arguments for like someone who gets into it older, like if they just like don't get formal education or they just come from it, I guess naturally from their experience. Yeah, I just like it's such a nuanced conversation to have about acting and also like the fact that like Sam is not an actor. He's not even really a performer anymore. He's a teacher.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, even if you do get into acting later in life, I know plenty of people, like I'm friends with people who did not get formal education in acting, but now take classes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I might as well just like get it done with, I guess.
I guess they're doing what a certain professor of ours would call the emotional squeeze of the episode, where the protagonist has a choice and there's pros and cons to both. But it is all crammed into 1/8 of an episode.
I'll say, but
7/8 is about Sue.
Yeah, I mean, but do they really? Does this person really weigh those choices? No. Yeah. They're just like, listen, it's going to be totally fine. I'm just going to make this choice right now. And next week will be the last time that we get to talk about this set of stories because it is the end of the series as we know it. And then we will be moving on to the epilogue, which is blowing my mind right now that this is technically the penultimate episode for the story of Glee. Like, what? I'm stunned.
Yeah. So she has the choice. And I just wanted to say, I think I wrote in my notes that I sent you, I said, I wish I could look like Sam in his red polo, khakis, red sneakers, outfit combo. I said Midwest.
Looks like he works at Target.
Midwest middle class chic. Midwest middle class prep.
Looks like he works at Target.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's a Target uniform up until like 2018 when they were allowed to start wearing jeans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Literally.
But yeah, I wish I could. He looks so good. Anyways, that's basically it, because then they're putting on she's having him try on a Warblers jacket. And they're having this conversation, and she said, "Your opinion matters the most to me." And
I was like, "That's not true. That's not true at all."
Mm-mm.
If anyone's opinion who matters most, I would say at this point, it's probably I'd say it's probably Mercedes.
Yeah,
Mercedes,
Kurt and Rachel are not spending time together.
And then Kurt, for
Yeah, and then Blaine, and then Sam.
I wouldn't say Sam's on the list. I'm sorry.
And then Quinn.
And then Santana. And then Brittany. And then Bert and Carol. Actually, Bert and Carol, they're pretty up there on the list, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So then, but she gets the call from Carmen Thibodeau, not played by Whoopi Goldberg this week.
Played by one of the adults from the Peanuts cartoons.
Exactly.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
And she gets the phone call, and she's like, and then in the background, Cord is just suddenly doing like this like chest popping thing that the Warblers do. Again, as we said before, Cord was given no lines. He is improv this entire season.
No action lines, nothing. Not even direction. They said, Cord, do whatever you want.
That's why I got it. Sniffing jock straps and popping in the background of allegedly serious conversations. Yeah, mass pouring coffee.
Can we quickly talk about this conversation or her reaction to the conversation? Because she's literally like, "Oh, hello, this is Rachel. I hangs up the phone." That was the conversation, and I gave it with the absolute aplomb that she didn't spell. It was literally like. I mean, obviously, people don't say goodbye on the phone in TV shows and movies, but like this was bananas.
It also could have been an email.
Yeah, this meeting could have been an email. This podcast could be an email.
We just
send each other our notes. We can go to a newsletter format, but no, like she literally like turns to him and is like, "I guess I'm in Yada if I want to go." And it's like, oh, that's what she said? I thought she cursed you out and you just like, you didn't even have the chance to say goodbye because she hung up on you. I don't know. I guess we'll never know.
They would never want her back. Never.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't want. Yeah, she was just such a terror the whole time. And
she like left abruptly and now she wants her spot back. And it's like Blaine got kicked out apparently. I did not remember that.
Yeah.
That was
like, oh, he did?
He got kicked out between 5 and 6.
We never saw it. This is the first time we heard about it.
Just because he was really sad?
No, yeah, because when they sang Suddenly Seymour, beforehand, Blaine was like, yeah, after Kurt broke up with me, I got really depressed. And instead of providing mental health services and things that universities actually frequently do because we spend gobs of money on them, they just cut me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
And fucking Rachel, I'm like a student who was depressed and like just stopped showing up to class. Rachel Berry being like, "Fuck you, I got a TV show." Or, well, first she got the Broadway show, then she got the TV show. It's just Rachel Berry gets everything she wants, and it pisses me off. She never gets told no. She literally gets a part and a spot at Niata in this episode.
Yeah.
For doing nothing.
I'm
sorry. She didn't do anything. Like, yeah, sure, it's nice that she decided to come back to her old school, start at the Glee Club again, start coaching it, but also, what has she contributed to this Glee Club except for like $500 to get it up and running? Exactly. I'm sorry. Like,
she's
this
Glee Club runs
itself. Yeah, it runs itself. And also because she goes out of, I'm surprised Kitty didn't say something about Rachel not being there. Because she was like, "Hey guys, I'm a teacher now again, even though I might be doing this volunteer or part-time. I don't really know what my pay and role situation is." And I'm surprised Kitty wasn't like, "What the fuck? Where's Rachel?" I literally told her like many episodes ago when I decided to rejoin the club that this was my standard. I needed a consistent teacher. Why are you
she
here?
does. She's like, "Doesn't Rachel need to be in on this decision?" And Will's like, "She's got some business in New York."
And then Kitty just says, "Okay." And
okay.
Kitty's like,
"Okay."
That's the thing. Kitty would have been like,
there, like continuity.
Out.
Yeah, Kitty would have stood up. The Kitty I know would have stood up and started hurling anti-Semitism and screaming.
Instead of like how like some of the boys would throw chairs, she hurls anti-Semitic rants and yeah. She fucking left behinds everyone. She just poofs into existence. She goes to the afterlife and she's happy.
Rapture happens.
And she's the only one who gets taken. Can you imagine? And it's like, it's Kitty who gets taken? Wow. What have these children done?
So
does Rachel actually make a decision?
She doesn't make a decision.
She doesn't. That's next episode.
She technically does, because she's like, I'm going to take it. And that's kind of how we leave it.
Oh,
like,
yeah. It was like
act.
the argument with Sam. Like, she's like, I'm not going back to Yada. I'm going to take the job.
Right.
And so,
she was like, tail between my legs, something.
And I'm like, but you already did that. You already showed up.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Like, you literally asked for your spot back, and now you're acting like you didn't.
Like, but I don't want to like this. Like, what?
Yeah, it's so weird. And I also think that like she wanted it to just be completely handed to her. She had to work a little bit. She wrote that letter that never even got sent. Kind of like how Oprah used to tell people, just write it down in a letter. If you feel
you're
like
manifesting.
You can't, yes, exactly. But like Rachel didn't have to work for either of these things, but she technically worked more, I would say, for the Nyada, because the audition seemed to go really well 18 weeks ago when it happened, you know?
It's just that she gets everything that she wants. And what was refreshing about the season 6 opener is that she had a failure.
Yeah.
You know?
And we're like, wow, character development in season 6, finally.
I'm like present.
And it's like, I think I just would have, is that she gets everything handed to her, so her triumphs don't feel earned. And I think they coasted on the fact that she was supposed to be someone that young girls connected with as like an outsider. And it's supposed to be like, look, she's getting what she wants.
But also she gets what she wants because she is incredibly talented. But that's not universal. Like,
there are people who like, do people actually connect with people who get what they want? Because I want to say like everyone in life doesn't get what they want. And if they get what they want, they realize that they actually didn't want that. So
yeah. Or that they worked very, very hard and they recognize the hard work that they put in, even if others don't. But you can't recognize any hard work from Rachel Berry because she doesn't put any in.
Yeah. You can get what you want after you work for it, technically.
You can't always get what you want. Glee cast.
It's fucking predicting the future all over again. That's just Leah Michelle getting funny girl.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
So true.
Because she like even just
fucking
Will gives her.
Because she didn't even have to work. I mean, not that she didn't work hard on Glee, but the fact that like she didn't even really know anything about, she wasn't even really that big of a Barbara fan. Ryan Murphy handed her Funny Girl on a platter for Glee, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, I love this musical. It's my favorite musical ever.
Yeah, well, and
then she gets it. And Beanie Feldstein is like, well, fuck all you guys, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do awesome niche comedies instead.
Yeah. Honestly, which the world needed more than a Funny Girl.
Needs so much more. I mean, come on.
Like, Rachel got every solo she ever wanted. You know, like they even like when Tina complained, Tina had to have a concussion and learn her place. Yeah. You know, like she got every solo she wanted. She got to be prom queen, which she like didn't even want.
Which makes no sense.
They just gave it to her. And no one like said like, hey, I didn't vote for her. Like, did you vote for her? Did you vote
yeah.
No?
Everyone should have been like, this was rigged. I don't even know who she is. She's a weird Glee Club girl.
Isn't she the reason that girl was in a wheelchair? Like, is that what they were all thinking?
I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
They're probably like, she's the one that, I mean, not that texting and driving is good, but also she was on the way to a teen wedding.
Yeah. So, and then she gets Nyada. She gets Funny Girl. She gets
after she choked.
Yeah. She gets, what's it called? She gets the show.
On a terrible script, by the way.
Yeah.
Even if was it Kristen Shaw? That was the actor who played. Yeah. Even if that script was good, because that one was clearly the one who got produced. But like
somehow, yeah. Like, even the one that Rachel like led herself ends with like the meaning of love. And I'm like, that's not how a sitcom episode
pilot saw the light of day kills me. Because I don't know if you guys know the Dead Pilot Society podcast, but they literally like they have like performers who do pilots that are actually really good. Like if you listen to some of these podcasts, they're actually really fucking funny. And it's like, the Rachel Berry show or whatever the fuck it was called had none of that.
And that, I mean, but that in a nutshell is like what happens in Hollywood. Your show gets put on if you know the right people, not if it's good.
And someone happened to reach out to her. Like it's just complete happenstance. She didn't work for meeting that person. It was just like she got into Funny Girl on. Okay, I'm done talking about Rachel. I literally joked about 20 hours later. We're talking too much about her.
Minutes.
Well, I think even the show is now so half-assed about how it hands things to Rachel. Like the show just doesn't even care. And it's a shame because a story of someone working really hard to like become an actress, you know, to like do this and like she's that one in a million, you know, like that could be a really interesting story, you know.
Yeah.
There's a manga about that. I know we don't read manga here, but it's way better. Way better.
I mean, there's a bunch of old-timey Hollywood movies, La La Land, you know, like
that's a great example. Like I don't think Emma Stone's like an amazing singer in that movie, but she does have something sort of special that you see in the very first scene when we meet her in La La Land. It's like she's actually really good. And it's like you could see she's working hard, she's doing the grind, whatever.
She puts on that one-woman show.
Yeah.
No.
Did Rachel do a one-woman show? No. She backed out of
We would have roasted her for that, though.
I mean, can we call Run Joey Run a one-woman show? Even though the men were involved. No.
And Brittany and Santana, She tried to make the Glee Club a one-woman show. But...
3 men.
It was a one-woman show.
But yeah, it's just, again, we're beating a dead horse. But like, come on. Like, it's just... It's just like, come on, like all these victories are so empty because they don't give her a struggle, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess because of that leaves us with Sue versus Will. Because I guess Will struggles.
Well, he is a white man. So a white cis het man.
No one suffers more. So they're the Glee Club run by Will because Kurt and Rachel can't be bothered. Well, Kurt's busy consoling Blaine. Rachel can't be bothered. She's in New York. They perform a solid cover of Rather Be. You know, that song's a bop. It's hard to ruin it. And covers of that song were all the rage. I feel like at that time, I was listening to like the Kurt Hugo Schneider cover and the Cimarelli cover. And
that takes me back.
I know. I was just saying the word Cimarelli, like I'm like, flashback. Yeah.
I was a huge Kurt Hugo Schneider fan. I forgot about him.
Yeah. He made a musical podcast. Like it was a podcast that was like a narrative and it was a musical. And he played the lead opposite Laura Moreno from Austin and Ally.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It wasn't amazing, but I listened to it. It lightened up the commute, you know? Yeah, so it's a good cover of Rather Be, and I'm like, this could be a nationals, and I don't know, but like this could be a sectionals performance. Like, I'd enjoy watching that. And then Blaine just walks in struggling to figure out how to act this. And Kurt's there and Will's like, hey, what are some notes? I know you still have vacation brain. And then they're just staring and he's like, what happened? And they're like, Dalton burned to the ground.
But also, can Shu not see that like Blaine is incredibly depressed? Like he looks so sad. And not that like something burning down isn't like his school and like whatever.
His job,
I thought someone died. Like that's where I
did too. And then I was like,
is Gina Gershon okay? Yeah.
Yeah. I guess his mom is like his dad wasn't at the wedding, so like, is he okay? Like, are they not talking? What's going on? Yeah. It was strange. Also, I'm pretty sure like maybe this is me just like thinking that Dalton looks like Hogwarts. I was like, that was like a stone building. Like, I think that's pretty hard for just burned to the ground. But maybe it's not a stone building and I'm just,
projecting.
I mean, even if it is a stone building, it can still be burned depending on like the mortar material and stuff. And
True.
how hot the stones actually get, they can crack and be destroyed.
That's true.
But then like everything else, probably the interior was wood and
oh yeah,
like,
I mean the wood paneling in the fire room. I mean, here's the gag part. Like, what if the whole school didn't burn down? Blaine just only has seen like the hallway he ran down awkwardly with Kurt, which I think was also wood panel lined, and then also the choir room, which is wood panel lined. Those are the two places that got burned down. Everything else is fine.
That would be
Crazy.
that counts. Burned to the ground.
It's burned to the ground. There's nothing left.
There's nothing
The
left
earth
there.
is salted. Yeah. So also, I can't remember where I heard this take. I credit to whoever made it. I don't remember, but people think that Sue burned Dalton down.
Oh.
I actually thought that's where this was going.
Yeah.
And then it never happened. I was like, okay.
And
That's
that
fine.
she had Becky help her.
An act
And
of
that's
God.
why Becky broke.
Oh, I love
Interesting.
this actually.
that would make more sense than what is actually going on.
Because it's weird that this is suddenly where Becky draws the line.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, I agree.
Becky's a huge Warbler stan. Like, since when?
Yeah, she likes gay Blaine. So that's what she calls him. It's not
True.
just me insulting him or pointing out the obvious. It's just like she's never, I don't think she's ever really been a fan of Kurt, but she's always been very into Blaine.
Well, yeah, because she wanted to make out with him.
Yeah. And so it's like, but why would she be a Warbler stan? Yeah, I don't know. It's a little
Yeah.
extra.
But
I love that theory.
Yeah. So the Warblers, they don't have a school. The school is burned to the ground.
And then what happens, Cullen? Do all of these presumably 12 students transfer to William McKinley High School in Lima, Ohio from Dalton Academy, which is in Westerville, Ohio? It's time for Hannah's favorite segment, Geography of Ohio. All right, I'm going to try to make this super quick because I actually really don't want to dwell on it because I did scream for about an hour at Lyle as I was concocting this. Okay, here we go, really quick. Westerville to Lima and vice versa is about an hour and a half. Two ways, that's 3 hours of commuting. That's ridiculous, especially for a high school student. There's no public transport that's going to go back and forth to that. Absolutely not. In 2016, fall 2016, which is where I've kind of placed the story, gas was $2.50, if you can believe it, in Ohio, average. And so, and I looked up average miles per gallon for cars, about 24.2. So this means that every single day, they would have 7.2 gallons of gas wasted. That's $18 to fill up. And I said every other day because, like you're not going to fill up every day. You don't need to, but like you're going to be on empty. You're going to have to fill up either before you go to school or before you go home every other day. So I said 4 times a week to fill up. That's $72.15. This does not count for extra running around, picking people up their houses, doing stuff on the weekends. That's $288.60 per month just to get to school, to a public school that has an active caning policy. Let's just be really obvious about that. We've said it so many times. Why would you commute this far for that amount of money? Now, granted, they came from a private school. They don't have to pay tuition anymore. Their parents don't have to pay tuition anymore. They probably have the money for this. But also, don't even get me started on the oil changes, the wear and tear and depreciation on those vehicles. Even if you're carpooling, ridiculous. Also, the time, you would literally have to get up at like 5 a.m. Let's say like school starts at like 7:45. You have to get up at like 4 a.m., 4:30, depending on how long it takes you to put your hair gel in, because, Warblers. 7:45 when school starts, you have to leave at like 5:30, 5:45. Also, if you're picking people up to carpool, no thank you. School until about 2:30, then you're about to hit sectionals. You have like Glee practice for like an hour, 2 hours after school, probably every day.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to leave until 4:30, 5 o'clock. You're getting home till 6:15. When do they do
Rush hour.
homework? And well, I didn't obviously didn't say that I was going to be leaving on a Friday afternoon in 2016 on Google when I mapped this out. But there is about a 25-minute difference potentially for rush hour for the morning and the afternoon. So you could be getting home at like 7 p.m. or you could have to leave at 4:45. When are they doing homework? These children are exhausted. We're putting children through too much just to get into college. And for what? They have the rest of their lives ahead of them to do stuff. Let them relax. That's my rant, honestly. But also, just to remind you, this school has an active caning policy. Why would you go to that school? Why would you waste all that time and money to go to that school? And also for a glee club that is not guaranteed to win. We've seen these kids perform. It's not good. I'm sorry. And they have a 13-year-old. So that's my rant.
I would say you might make that sort of commute if you were commuting to a school like Dalton.
Exactly.
Absolutely. That's
why this rant didn't happen when Kurt transferred to Dalton. That's exactly why. Also because I did not have the mental capacity. But I think that broke me. And also, I was an open enrollment student in Ohio. Okay. You have to be within a certain radius of that school in order to actually get in.
Yeah.
It's just like, no.
Well, does that apply to private schools as well?
But they're going to a public school.
Right.
That's the thing.
But does it apply to private schools?
I don't think so, no.
No. I mean, you can probably commute as far as you fucking want, I guess.
So,
but
also with Dalton.
But we also, we were confused, is this a boarding school? Do they live on campus? When they were at Dalton, you know? Yeah. But yeah, basically this is all bullshit. I'm so mad at Ryan Murphy and the whole team. I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Go ahead, B.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was like, I was thinking about why they did it. I was like, I guess it solves two problems, which is that I don't think they had enough people at McKinley, right? They needed 12.
Correct.
And they
absolutely
right. I was counting them in the first people. Okay, so that's one problem solved. But I guess the other thing was just, it's like season 4, season 3 all over again, where they move Blaine to McKinley just because they're tired. They're like tired of having two different plot lines. They're like, yeah, it's too much of a struggle. And it's like lazy. That's what it is. It's lazy.
The easier solution would just be they're going to schools, not Dalton, but in Westerville, in Columbus. But they commute a couple times a week to do Glee practice, to do sort of they're an intramural group now. Don't tell me that they've transferred this fucking school that has an active caning policy. Don't tell me their parents approved that just so they could go join a choir that is not guaranteed to win. Those parents would send those kids to Indiana. They would send them to Vocal Adrenaline. Thank you very much.
I was about to say that.
Further away.
Yep.
Because I think you could argue that the New Directions did win nationals at one point, but they were disbanded.
And they were a completely different group of people.
Yeah.
You know what would be a better, just all around a better bow tie is if McKinley burned down and then New Directions had to go to Dalton.
I love this.
Dalton couldn't refuse them.
That was the fall of Sue Sylvester. She burned down the school.
Yep.
She burned down the school. She's like, if I can't have it, no one can.
Well, singing Burned
Lights
by
a match.
Ellie Goulding, yeah.
And now there's no school with a caning policy, and Sue has no control over anything, and Dalton has to accept women because they're assholes if they don't.
Don't even get me started on that. I was like, why is Jane not freaking out? When
they didn't even show that for a second.
They had some shots that made me think, okay, are we supposed to be a face journey that's happening? She said something about your sexist empire doesn't exist anymore, and that's it. That's all we get.
It's that's not enough. She transferred to a school that had an active caning policy to join a Glee club that had 0 members.
Yeah.
And I love that your thing is the caning policy, because I feel like there's
that's
so
a
many
Cullen
more
thing that has been implanted to me because of this geography lesson that I went through. I did math. I did research. I researched gas prices in Ohio for 26.
I love it. No, it's just funny because I'm like, there's so many reasons McKinley sucks. I just love that it's like an active caning policy.
Don't even get me started about the fact that she puts children into pig pens, puts picky noses on them because they're overweight. And listen, there are many reasons why people are overweight. And it's not because they're lazy. It's because they're poor. It's because they don't have access to healthy foods because they're not taught how to eat healthy foods. And putting them in pig pens is not the answer. All right, I'm done.
Yeah. No,
I'm exhausted.
Podcast.
Last night was a lot more yelling. So you guys got the softer version.
But I think the problem is from day one of Dalton as a concept, why wasn't it just the private school in Lima?
Yes. You don't need
why
to
did
give
you
me...
just throw a different town? Why did you put towns in Ohio? Google.
And also,
I
I think it's because they wanted to give the idea that like
it was a big sacrifice for Bert.
Well, I was going to say that they wanted to also spread everyone out because Carmel High is in the Akron area, which is on the other side of the state from Lima. I think they wanted to give the idea that like, oh, there's just like little specks of Glee choirs all over the Midwest.
Right. Like there's...
So that it would make sense why like, oh, everyone would come to McKinley for the sectionals, or we would all go to Carmel or wherever for sectionals or regionals or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, they could still compete though if they're in the same town.
And I think they wanted to spread it out more because of they want to be like, oh, we know Ohio. You don't actually. I've proved my point many times.
What were you saying, Bee, though?
Oh, I was going to say I did show choir in high school, and I don't think we ever had where there were two high schools in the same city, but I was actually in what we called a junior high. It was 8th and 9th grade, and there were two junior highs in my city. It's different now, but we were one show choir, so we didn't have like two choirs and compete against each other. We were in the same city and we were together. But public school, you know, public versus private, I could see there being like a public and a private in the same city competing against each other, maybe.
Yeah, no, my town had like two public high schools, and I think there was a Catholic school. Yeah, there was a Catholic school and a sisters, like a boys and a sisters. And I don't think they were exactly in the same city, but like they're same area roughly.
According to Google, private high schools in Lima include mostly Christian and Catholic schools. So maybe they just didn't want to touch. They didn't want to touch religion until they got Samuel Larson.
We already had grilled cheese.
Or that one choir who did Jesus is my friend.
Yes.
But like, the thing is, you could have easily done just no one would have been like, I don't believe there's a single secular school in Ohio. Yeah,
they took the hardest way out to kind of be like, oh, we have a lot of people from Ohio happening. It's like, just put like, also, did they know that they were going to have Dalton Academy be transferring back and forth like with Blaine and Kurt?
I don't think they knew that, but like I think it could have just been you put it even a couple towns over instead of across the state, you know, just a
make
local...
up a town and say, oh, it's like 30 minutes from Lima. Perfect. I love that. Don't tell me it's in Westerville, which is in northwestern Columbus area. Thank you very much.
I mean, and the whole funny thing about Dalton is that it is borrowing a very Catholic school aesthetic, but it's supposed to be a gay haven. So it's like kind of New England in that way, because I feel like a school like that is more likely to exist in New England. But again, I'd buy it, but it's almost like we're like a gay fan fiction set in a Catholic school. Like we're Yowie Academy, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so they're like, they're there, they bring the Warblers, and they're like, we decided we're going to join the New Directions and the Warblers. And people are upset. And Kitty's like, where's Rachel? And they're like, she had business in New York. And I want her to be like, that's bullshit. What's going on? You know, and then they just kind of, do people fight? No, they fight about the Blazers.
Yeah, because they're basically like, we have like a uniform. You guys have costumes. You wear red t-shirts and Converse. And I'm like, I mean, that is a good point. But also I feel like the uniforms looks like shit.
The whole issue was Dalton was like, you guys can't do these dance moves. And I was like, that's super accurate. You guys suck. And then it devolves into the
uniforms.
Clothes they're wearing. It was like,
makes no sense.
No base. Like, you actually need to get better at dancing.
Like, they just kind of dropped that. They were just like, yeah, you're bad at dancing, but like,
yep. And that's the argument that makes more sense for the show. And yes,
I guess the Warblers were like,
uniforms.
we'll compromise on your terrible dancing, but you have to wear a blazer. Like there's no other option.
I feel like that should be the opposite. They're like, we'll wear Converse if you guys learn how to dance.
Yep.
There were
that's actually going to help us win, not putting on jackets that we have to pay for with Rachel's leftover money from the Rachel Berry project. I don't know where they're getting this money.
Also, why is Will up there teaching them to dance? He's the problem. He's the reason none of them can dance because he has terrible dance moves and he can't teach. They should have brought back Mike.
Yeah.
Perfect opportunity.
Well, yeah, they're trying to learn to dance because Will is just running this Glee Club now. Anyone who's available just runs the Glee Club.
Didn't Will literally say like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was like, I want you guys to be running it?
Yeah.
Why wasn't Kurt leading? He's the other half of Rachel Kurt leading the Glee Club.
There was no explanation.
Chris Colfer's like, no, thank you.
Chris Colfer had like a book tour or something.
Yeah,
He's like,
It's like, I have to edit some chapters of the, what is it, Land of Stories.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm busy that day.
Maybe this was like Ryan Murphy's final fuck you to Chris. I don't know.
And then,
yeah,
so they're these blazers, our school burned down. This is the last thing that we have. And they talk about it like they're like refugees. And I was a high school student. I don't know. And I remember interacting with I don't know anyone that was that passionate about their high school. I mean, there were a few homeschool kids.
Or about their school uniforms.
Yeah.
But I guess like Dalton is sort of this idyllic place where like they love quote unquote tradition. And part of that tradition is their uniforms. And it's sort of like high class. And I mean, they're clinging to
there's probably
classism.
Yeah, there's a lot more pride, I guess, in private schools because you're paying money to be there. So people who pay a lot of money to be in a place feel like they're
entitled,
entitled to be. Yeah, it's a thing. So I that didn't strike me as out of the norm, really.
And they said anyone who wears one is a sex symbol. And they do a little pose.
Listen, I'm sorry. None of those new Warblers are sex symbols.
Yeah. Where's Tully Lung?
Yeah. Honestly, like the original ones, like they were hot. Even the guy with the frosted tips in 2013. I was like, you know what? I'm into it. I can get into that.
So they're arguing about that, and we skipped to Sue is upset that they're there and is going to destroy the Glee Club. And she thought it was the Lima gay men's chorus, and they're all offended because they act super gay, but they're not gay.
Right, they all have girlfriends. We learned that a couple episodes ago.
But they're like, oh no, she didn't. And remember when that was a thing?
Did y'all know that the Warblers are credited as like Warbler 1 through 8, except for 2. One is very gay Warbler, and the other one is other very gay Warbler.
Imagine typing that into Final Draft, that sentence long dialogue.
Well, that's where they started. They're like, okay, gay Warbler, other gay Warbler. And they're like, I could do like gay Warbler. I could do F-slur Warbler.
Super gay Warbler.
I'm just going to do Warblers 1 through 8 and just, make it easier on myself.
I just saw that.
Feels like a writer's room joke.
Yeah.
That's what that feels like.
Yeah.
It's giving like, oh, I'm gay, so it's fine. And it's like, that was just all of Glee. It's like, yeah, we're gay, so all the jokes we make are
we're
fine.
in on the joke.
We can
are
be
part
racist.
Of the joke. We can make this.
We're all minorities. We're in
the Glee Club.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Is like we're all minorities. We write for Glee.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're fighting about their uniforms, and it did remind me of there were people that were homeschooled that would like identify as homeschooled way after we graduated, and it was like, you're in college, you're not a homeschooler. Like,
they identified as homeschoolers like in college.
Yeah, it was like a cultural thing. They're like, yeah, homeschool thing, And like when I went to college, I was like, the last thing I wanted was anyone to know.
Yeah,
sometimes I'm still that way. Sometimes I'm still like,
for sure, because
that.
people like have like preconceived notions about that. Like they'll make fun of you and stuff. It's like, I don't.
Yeah,
I guess it's so interesting that they were like,
if I ate lunch, yeah.
questions people asked you?
Yes.
Did you have lunch period?
Do you eat lunch? How do you meet people is my favorite because you're usually meeting someone when they say that. And you're like, well, look where I am.
I did it. Yeah, I did it.
Yeah. Which in a way is like a valid critique of homeschooling. In the context is I was like, I'm meeting you right now.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a child and I don't really control things.
Yeah. And honestly, like your parents obviously did a good job of like getting you socialized. Like if you were like having a conversation with a stranger instead of being like, you know, I think you're fine.
That was my favorite thing in college is when people like wouldn't believe me. They're like, no. And I was like, ha. Yeah.
Busting stereotypes.
Yeah. So yeah, that was, especially as a homeschooler, Glee was what I thought high school was like. Not really, but a little bit. I was like, this is what the kids do in school. They fight about tots and slushies. They meet up with other choirs in parking garages to cover Michael Jackson and
throw rock salt slushies at each other's faces.
Yeah.
At the guy that you want to sleep with.
So the Warblers are upset. So they eventually decide on these red blazers. They combo.
Well, okay, first they come out in uniforms that are
Catholic school uniforms.
Pretty much. Like
I thought they were Mormons.
Pants and skirts.
They're Mormon missionaries.
Yeah, with the ugliest white shirt that I've ever seen, which is saying something because all white shirts look the same.
I agree. I'm on this. I'm on board. It is really ugly, and they
really bad, and that they had these awful ties on, and I had an entire internal monologue with myself about if they were going to turn into uniforms, then they should have just, gone with the blazers and then had the blazers be in McKinley colors, and boy, God, that's spot on.
That was, I mean, what is the alternative though? They had white blazers with red trim. I don't know what would be worse.
They already did a menswear uniform when they did ABC and Man in the Mirror. They did all the Jackson songs.
That looked better.
Because they had a bunch of boys and only a few girls because most of them defected to the treble tones, right? So they wore like the black and white. It looks so good, but it's like, it's just recycled.
Yeah.
Just like
they didn't even say like, oh, there's a bunch of boys and only a few girls. So like, it'll play into the... I don't know. There was no rationale. It was just, we need blazers. And
I also kind of wish that obviously I know we're done with like the season 6 newbies. Like we don't care about them anymore after we had that one single episode where they were the focus. Or some of them were the focus. And where the men were the focus. Interesting. I would have wanted more from Jane, who had probably a traumatic experience of having to audition, which was like, okay, fine. But basically because they're like, well, you're a girl. And then she transferred to a public school that's like garbage. And then
they follow her essentially.
And then they follow her.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's also like the moment of having to put on that jacket should feel really intense for her. They'd be like, wow, look where the fuck I am now. Like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I kind of wish that we had more scenes with those season 6 newbies, if that was going to be a thing, just to have that kind of emotional payoff that like is definitely ripe there. You don't even really have to develop her character that much to have it, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's there. It's very easy to do.
And
it would be easy to do, I think.
They sang Rise, which is a Darren Criss original.
Which I forgot about until I saw it on the wiki. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
So it is a Darren original. It has the same name as a Katy Perry Rick Caruso voter song that she sang for the Olympics. Yeah. And so every time I see, Glee did that song. And then I'm like, oh, wait, this is different. And it's not necessarily a bad song, but I also could not conjure a single memory of the song now. Like,
no,
it's so formulaic. Like, it's just like, it's like someone was like, write a end of episode Glee group number. And that's the song. Like,
yeah.
He's like,
the lyrics are, I was reading the lyrics and they were like, just platitudes. just a bunch of platitudes that rhyme. And then
They should have done Bratitude from the Bratz movie. It's not just a platitude, it's a Bratitude. Well,
oh my god.
there's something else I was gonna say about them like just putting this on. I don't know, it's just they should have done the Bard and Bella's route. You know how the Bard and Bellas used to have their uniforms are all very, and then in the final performance, the uniform is like customized to each performer. That could have
Pitch
been really
Perfect
cool.
is what Glee thinks they are. Like Pitch Perfect is a perfect movie, and
Pitch Perfect 1, yes.
Yes.
I mean, they definitely. I actually think that's great because, like,
movie, yeah.
At that point, Pitch Perfect was on movie 2, right?
Yeah.
By the time this came out, so it's like that definitely would be something they could do. Like if they were like, well, here are the uniforms we decide to make, and it's just like now you guys get to do whatever you want with them.
Yeah,
and it's like you would have some people who like decide to wear a funky belt or like decide to wear a skirt, a certain kind of skirt, like to make it their own. I think would have been a great way to use the uniform as like, this is unity, but it's also we're individuals, you know.
They would have needed like, I guess, more time to character develop, get those warblers out of there.
That's
like,
true. You know what? They're like, everyone will
we didn't
definitely
have
fit
time.
into this uniform because no one has a personality or character.
Exactly. We don't have the warblers, especially. They're all. If you just told me that was a clone of the same person, I'd be like, yeah, for sure,
Absolutely.
That's actually a good point. It's like I feel like season 1 or season 2 warblers,
yeah,
they were all very distinct looking.
Yeah, you remember that Frosted Tips because like,
yeah, and it's just like
he was unique.
But these people are just kind of like, you're right, the same person over and over again, which is like,
they're all kind of a Blaine type too. Like a lot of them like gelled hair. I was like, what is with Dalton? And because that wasn't so with the original warblers.
No,
like, they definitely all didn't have gel down hair.
No, some of them had like
Neither
crew
did
cuts.
Darren. Yeah,
the gel is very flanderization. Like, if you've ever heard that to refer to a character that just gets like one character trait just becomes so dominant, and like Blaine's hair gel got worse and worse, and now all
it's just concrete to his face.
My theory was that it was like the hair people too were like, we're not doing this every day. Like, we're not fighting to make your curls look nice. We're just slicking
honestly
it down.
Though, probably.
Yeah, no, they're probably just like, because at first it did look like kind of poofed and like it looked really good. 2.
But
then they're like, you're a regular, you're every day.
Yeah.
It's every day, bro, with that Disney Channel flow. No.
So what do y'all think is their new name? You have the New Directions and the Warblers.
The new Warblers.
The new Warblers? Or
nude
the nude
Warblers. Duh.
Yeah. Okay, so Sue is upset that the Warblers are back. She's going to destroy the Glee Club. Will is calling her Susie Q.
Why? Who knows?
He's like, what does the Q even stand for? And it is funny to me that these people are willing to do this in front of children. And the first time in season 1, Will and Sue had a blowout in front of the kids, and he felt like so ashamed. And this is like his 37th now. It's like this man has descended. It's really, maybe Glee is the journey of one man's descent into total insanity.
Well, did we even talk about the article that came out a couple weeks ago where Ryan Murphy was like, he was supposed to be like a crack addict or something?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, I mean, this all still tracks. Like
it's like he was supposed to be the character, like Community did a spoof of Glee where like the Glee instructor was like evil and insane. And that's kind of like it like wasn't too far off.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's still elements of him being just like complete, it does a descent right into just madness.
Yeah. So they're upset, and then meanwhile these random ass stakes. The superintendent has decided that if the Glee Club doesn't win, he is going to cut not just the Glee Club but all arts at McKinley.
This is such an overreaction.
He's telling Myron this, and Myron's upset, and I'm like, Why would an adult education professional, base an entire educational curriculum choice on the success of a club?
Because also, a superintendent just doesn't run just one school. They run an entire school district. So there are multiple schools within this district. And he's going to cancel all arts because William McKinley is not doing well. What about,
Glee Club, which is like
Herbert Hoover High School in Lima, Ohio, Lima Heights adjacent, Like, what about that?
Especially like such a niche, like most arts aren't competitive.
Yeah. Like, why would you get rid of like literally like art class?
Painting, art class, theater.
And they try to kind of
band.
explain it away. They're like, oh, it's so expensive and we need the space. And like,
it's like, yeah, but do you need a computer lab? How many students are like actually need a computer lab? Like, we didn't have a computer lab at my school that like besides for like typing class.
Well, and now they give kids Chromebooks.
Because now I would say, yes, you need a computer lab, but 2016, I don't think 2015.
No, but
I don't think you need it.
Like, I think at least LAUSD kids get Chromebooks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially, was this a thing that was before pandemic or because pandemic?
I think it was still before because most papers are typed and you can't just assume every family has a computer.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Yeah, that makes sense.
And now people don't have family computers. People have like parents' personal computers or siblings' personal computers.
Yeah. I don't know. It is like such a huge overreaction because you're right. Most of the arts are not competitive. And okay, like, sure, you want to take out the competitive arts. Fine. So you don't have Glee Club. But you still have art class. Like, kids need to go and paint sometimes. They need to explore their feelings.
It's part of a holistic
canvas
education.
And there's so much research that proves that like only like math, science, like only like STEM, STEMM is like the way. Like that's not going to work. You need STEAM. Like STEA, A is arts. Like you need all of it. It's holistic. Yeah. Absolutely. There's so much research that's like you can't just not have arts. Like it's going to kill people.
I read Hard Times by Charles Dickens.
There's actually, I want to say the arts can be extremely competitive, but in a very different way than like sports.
Right. Yeah. We're talking about like actually like go on meets type competitive.
It's a much more individual competition. Yeah. Competitivision.
Would you say that also exists in high school too, or would you say it's like once you get into like a college or like a program in high school too?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Who gets what role?
I'm thinking just like
who's a better artist, like who's a better painter? Yeah.
The Scholastic Art Awards. Have you guys ever heard of those? That's a huge thing in high school.
Interesting.
And extremely competitive.
Yeah.
And
I guess so.
Like much more unfair because art is so subjective.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite things to think of. Oh gosh, I opened my mouth with thoughts. Go ahead. The thoughts like flew away. I'm like, I'm like a Fox News commentator.
Ooh, true.
Yeah, no, it's people treat the arts. It's a different form of competitive nature, but there is. Oh, I was just thinking. I had a coworker who went to art school, and I was like, is it just a stereotype or is it true that there's an anime kid in every class? And she was like, there is.
That's true.
That's true.
Absolutely
true. Were you the anime kid?
I was not. If that tells you anything, like
because you're like pretty into anime, so that means there's someone who was even more into anime.
Well, Allyssa doesn't draw anime.
Well, I did
sometimes, right?
But
yeah, you can, but that's not like your specific style.
That's not what I do, really.
Right.
I actually, Allyssa.
I did go through that phase, though.
Yeah. Allyssa has a really good
Mom
art
and Dad,
style. It's just a phase. And I'm not just because I used to tell you, that art looks really good when we lived together, but I wasn't just saying that. Allyssa has a really good art style.
Allyssa has literally designed me a tattoo that honestly I have only not gotten because one, I'm bad with money. And 2, I am kind of scared about how much it's going to hurt because I've heard that getting stuff on your wrist hurts a lot. So
yeah,
but it's going to look so good because it's a beautiful design. It's a wonderful tiger design, full tiger. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Well,
can't
let me
wait
know
to
when you
wear
get
it
it.
forever.
Then I'll have
I will.
officially have like 2 people with tattoos that I've designed.
I'll get you a photo right away.
Yeah, so that's whatever. It's like we've been there, done that. This whole the arts, they're like raising the stakes, but it doesn't feel.
They've done it so many times though. That's the thing. So like, I'm like, okay, sure, threaten that. I'm not scared. You can't scare me.
I'm bad, bitch. You can't kill me.
That's the arts. The arts.
We'll have 1,000 Rachel Berries.
Oh god.
Start 1,000 Glee clubs.
I'll create 1,000 Rachel Berries before I let this company die.
That's what the superintendent was trying to fight against.
You know what? I support him then.
So Sue being mean to the Warblers upsets Becky. Becky's in the office and she's like, you won't let these kids whose school burned down join the Glee club?
Her and her boyfriend, who I forgot existed.
Well, because
I had to Google who he was. I was like, who's this guy?
I don't know his name. I completely forgot.
Daryl.
I don't think he.
Okay.
I don't think he has a name.
I was gonna say something that started with M. That's
the
way off.
Glee is everything to me. I did not know otherwise. It's Daryl.
Looks like a Matt.
I was gonna
It
say
like a Matt or like a Mark.
Yeah, we already have a Matt though. The one who had Spider Eggs in his ears.
Like a Josh.
Yeah, and you know what?
Josh.
They brought
white
back.
name.
Did we talk about? We haven't talked about Samuel Larson being in this episode yet.
No.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, that's coming.
So Sue, she's upset at Sue, and because Sue is like, Will's like, I went to the superintendent. He's about to cut all the art, so I don't know what's going on here. But the superintendent sided with Will, and she's like, well, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell will have different ideas. And I'm like, way to invoke Satan. And then she's like, she has something from a Utah Republican who's talking about how show choirs are like terrible. And I'm like, Mormons love choirs.
Yeah, they do. Love a good choir.
Yeah. All the a cappella groups BYU is putting on my YouTube suggestions page.
Wait, so did they do covers of More Friends Than You Know?
That was a different one that did More Friends Than You Know. The worst Glee song ever. At least definitely the worst of the originals, hands down. Anyway, so Becky's upset and she's like, you're a terrible person. The things I've done for you. I've shoplifted.
She perjured herself.
In a grand jury.
But like, what was
was it about the gun? I don't know. They didn't say why.
Yeah, I was like, what is this about?
Why
she just like perjured herself. But so this kind of gets to like I don't even know how far into this we're gonna get, but like she's like, Sue says you put these ideas in Becky's head. And he's like, no, she found this on her own. But it is kind of like she's talking to him about these things that Sue made her do or that she did for Sue. And he's like, that's toxic. So it's like, I don't know. Like at first I was like, I don't know about this guy because I haven't had any time with him. Forgot that he existed. And I'm like, you know what? He's actually very good for her. He's like helping her realize that like she was in a really toxic, abusive relationship with her old cheerleading coach.
Yeah, he really points it out because the thing is, it was supposed to be. And that means
he treats her like a human being. So I appreciate that.
Exactly, because that's what I like. So the relationship with Becky and Sue started off as kind of sweet in that like she didn't want to talk down to Becky, right? Because
she treated her like a normal student, a normal person.
And then as everything went on, it became she was babying Becky, protecting Becky, and having this kind of abusive, codependent relationship where she made Becky do terrible things for her. And it was always kind of a joke, but now this episode steps back and is like,
that's not okay.
Not okay. And it's very interesting because Sue's baby doesn't come up except for Michael Bolton. And
neither does her sister, Jean, who we had a funeral for. I was like,
where is no one talking about Jean?
Why? Yes, in that. So I saw Geraldo Rivera in the running credits at the beginning, and I was like, "You're telling me that Geraldo Rivera is going to be here from Fox News?" And he gets there, and they're kind of like roasting Fox News, but they're also like accepting that this is just how Fox News is. And then I'm like, little did you guys know. Fair and balanced. They haven't said that since 2016, probably.
Honestly, yeah, because Sue says a brand known for being fair and balanced. And it's supposed to be a joke, but
Lyle and I have literally talked about this. I was like, they used to consider themselves that when like, no, I would never say that was ever true. But they did actually have shows where they had someone who was very conservative and someone who was less conservative, who identified as a Democrat, quote unquote. But it's like I see this and I'm like, wow, so different. Who knew? In literally 10 months from now, the world is different. And then the world becomes different again 4 years later.
Glee is an Obama administration show.
You're so right.
Core.
Yes. So Obama era.
If I were to do a class on the Obama administration.
Like as a professor, you're the professor here. I love this. I'm enrolling right now.
Glee is part of the curriculum. We're not watching the whole show, but like
God no. They're gonna listen to Gleeboot.
Yeah. But like Glee will be
much more enjoyable.
Yeah, we'll listen, we'll watch some key episodes. But that would be like a part because I think no show sums up the attitude of the Obama administration
100%.
More than
Yeah, Glee is very like racism's over and like gay
people
okay now. Yeah,
yeah. To the point where we can make fun of it.
It's so over. Yeah,
and we're all gay, so we can all joke about it.
Yeah, well, still holding on to some very toxic gender standards and toxic
that. Yes,
everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm being very preachy, very self-righteous, like.
Especially like when we talked about Brittany and Abuela a couple episodes ago, where she's like laying into a bit of like more than 50% of America agrees with gay marriage, and we're like, all right, calm down.
Yeah.
So now it's time. Sue goes to the superintendent. He's there with Will, and he brings Will kind of as a witness to be like, Sue, we decided to let you go, and the reason is he found. From an anonymous tip.
It was Becky.
It was Becky.
He found the Hurt Locker.
Okay, the way they shoot, there's so many interesting camera, like the way they are using different genre of like camera operation and cinematography in this season alone is kind of crazy. It's like they're just going big or going home. Like it's literally like noir. And it's so interesting. I kind of loved it. I was like, you know what? I'm here for this.
Yeah, the stuff with Sue was pretty good, honestly.
It's unhinged, but in like a way that's like we were talking about, it's very cathartic to see her get comeuppance, but also like I don't know. But it is kind of wild that like why would you bring Shu? Like literally anyone else. Bring Ricky Martin back and be like, I need you, a neutral person in the school to watch this happen. Or
Emma. I don't know. Jamie Mays.
Emma doesn't work at that school anymore. There's no way.
She's a stay-at-home mother. Yeah.
Yes. Well, she certainly dresses the part in those 18th century nightgowns. The 19th century nightgowns.
So yeah,
a couple episodes ago, when she actually appeared in an episode, she appeared in the doorway in her nightgown, and I thought it was a ghost. I thought it was a Victorian ghost.
Glee is so bad with continuity, but that's the one thing they keep. Like, Emma
absolutely
never upgrade or change, or
she would never wear a negligee unless it goes down to the floor.
when she wants to like get something started with Will, she like shows a little ankle.
Yeah, she is like literally a pilgrim.
Get my ankles out.
Yeah, so. He finds the Hurt Locker and is like, I don't think you should be working at McKinley or with children or young people ever again.
That's a perfect reaction.
How did it take 6 years for that to happen, or however many she's
Because
been there?
we've watched-
she launched a girl out of a cannon.
It was not the Hurt Locker that did it. It was the fact that Myron's face was on a doll in the Hurt Locker.
But that is pretty disturbing.
It is disturbing.
But it was like only because it's personal. And
Yeah.
But like he sees all this creepy memorabilia, these pictures, this murder board, a shrine. The center of this shrine is a picture of what was then a high school sophomore and a high school junior making out. No relation. No, she has no relation to these boys.
Well, it's also like
it'd be weird if she did, but it's not like
You said no
like,
relation, and I was like, yeah, no, they're not related. But Blaney Karofsky were.
But like, you know, it's not like I don't know, Kurt's mom said Blaine's mom
shrine
having like a picture of them at the junior prom or whatever. Like, okay, sure, but she wouldn't have a shrine, you know. Like,
what gets me the most about the shrine is that, I mean, obviously TV, whatever, but it's like it's a screen grab of their first kiss, right? So it's like, was there a paparazzi like photographing from the window? Like, how did she get this picture?
So it's truly insane, and she should already be in prison after you see that, because and it's also because he sees like the porn of her, which I guess is
that's what sets him off. That's actually what sets him off. It's not the Myron thing. It's actually he sees her in Penthouse, and I was like, really? It took her posing for pornography. I don't even know how many years ago for him to be like, oh, you shouldn't be around children. I'm like, that's fucking swerf activity, sir.
Yeah, which is very real. Like, honestly, that is so reality real. That this woman could violently assault multiple students in a hallway on a regular basis. Yeah, you know,
have an active caning policy. Yeah, and it's like, oh no, she did Penthouse in the 80s. No, absolutely not.
That's where we draw the line.
It's like, excuse me, that woman has a lot of life experience to offer from being in that industry. I think she'd be perfect for sex ed. Thank you
her
very much.
Punishing people for getting a boob job or telling Blaine to wear a thong under his pants. Nope. No. It is.
She's the one who did the Blaine's on the bottom, like the plane.
Like literal sexual harassment of children. Not a problem for this man.
I can excuse abuse of minors, but I draw the line.
Literally that community joke all over again.
And it's a magazine, like it's not even like that even is findable. Like she had this copy.
Yeah, the one that's described as her suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she's finally fucking fired.
Glee hates women.
Yep. Hashtag Glee hates girls.
Not even just girls.
Hashtag Glee hates
women.
Girls. That's it.
Women, females of every age.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's time for honestly one of my favorite portions of the series was Sue in this interview with Geraldo Rivera.
This interview went on for so long.
I know, but it was like you could have pitched me an episode where that was the whole episode, and like you saw things going on behind this, like on the side, and like it happened throughout the whole episode. You could have pitched me that. I would have watched it.
And I also my only criticism, honestly, of this is that
Tina wasn't in it. Yes.
Fox, this show was airing on Fox still. Fox News parent, part of that parent company. They could have lit this interview exactly like a Fox News interview. Mm-hmm. I feel like that would have just amplified it. It's such a simple choice. Would have taken maybe an extra hour for the production team to set this all up to really make
not it even because all they would have to do is rent out a news station.
Not even. They could honestly just have it right there and just light it like it's just an interview, because it literally is. It's just like the normal everyday lighting. It's like this needs to be exactly how they would light an interview taking place in this hotel room. Mm-hmm. I was like, because also you get the Fox News logo in the corner. I really wish that the Chiron was going.
Yeah.
I wish they would have leaned into it more, because they were already leaning so hard.
Yeah.
Lean in, ladies. But also,
usually the one thing you can't accuse Glee of doing is holding back.
Exactly. That's why I was like, just go for it. Light it exactly like Fox News would. Geraldo would be so into it. I mean, that was my only criticism. Is like, I wanted more of this camp. I wanted more of it.
More. Is that the clip of
Give
what
me
this
more.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just this interview where he's like, hey, everything you say about yourself is a lie. You were not born in the Panama Canal Zone.
Go ahead. Okay.
That's it. What were you going to say, Hannah?
I was going to say something about Geraldo Rivera, but I want to fact check it before I say it. I'm pretty sure that he has changed his name to Geraldo Rivera, even though I don't think that's his actual name. I think he made it more like Latino sounding, if I remember correctly. Yes, no, his name is Gerald Rivera, and now he goes by Geraldo Rivera.
Interesting.
Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, of embracing your background, but he was born Gerald. Just going to throw that out there. He has been criticized for that in the past, so I don't really need to add to it. But also, this man is 79 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, so anyways, he's like, hey, like you lied about, you never fought in the Gulf. Was it the Gulf War?
It was like a couple wars.
You never extracted this dictator. You have never been waterboarded. And she's like, I waterboarded myself.
I loved that line, actually. I was like, that's perfectly acceptable. How can you prove that?
Yeah. And just basically calling her on, like, Michael Bolton denies any relationship with you.
Which is interesting. So this is where I was like, wait a second. Why would we backtrack and say that Michael Bolton... That this wasn't real when like this has been such a central part of Robin's identity, who we've never met at this point is probably walking. That's how old this infant is, this baby.
Yep.
But like, it's like, and then they have him on and he's like, no, I've never even met her, never had a sexcapade with her.
She must be unwell. I never gave her a private island.
Which, like, that part, sure, I believe. But the part, I don't know. Part of me wanted to believe some of the Sue lore. And then when it was ripped away from me, I was kind of disappointed. Is that weird?
Yeah, no, it was not weird. For me, it was the same because we've been watching this over-the-top character for 6 seasons. And, like, the canonness of it was so insane. Like, I was just like, okay, I'm behind, any random shit that comes out of Sue's mouth. Sure. That's, she was born in the 1920s or whatever. I'm there. She's a vampire. Okay.
I think like the big thing for me is that like we spent so many years building this up and then all of a sudden they're taking some things away. Like, sure, like some of the things I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like she didn't fight in the Gulf War, but like also the lore was so rich and random that now it's just like, it's trying to ground me in reality, being like, no, Sue's a fucking liar. It's like, well, yeah, of course she is, but some of it has to be true.
Yeah, it was
because otherwise she's not
fun.
Interesting.
Yeah,
she's not fun. She's just an asshole. And yes, she has mommy and daddy issues, but that's not an excuse to abuse children. I'm sorry.
I like that. I like that they stripped it all away because I like the idea
all
that
of
this.
It, though?
Yes, I like that.
I did not like the part about the claims that like she had sexual relations with all of these men and they all say that they don't know her.
Yes,
that feels a little bit too real and I didn't like that.
Yeah,
actually, I think you're right. That's the only thing. Like her not fighting the Gulf War, I don't care about that. The fact that her parents weren't Nazi hunters, I was like, that makes sense. I could believe that like they lied to her.
Yeah,
but yeah, like the part was like her being like this very sexual being and like. The fact they took that away from her is actually kind of annoying.
And that she slept with every member. She's like, sorry, correction, I slept with every member of Jimmy
Eat World. And I was like, no, I want that for her. And they're taking it away. That was the only thing I actually had a problem with.
Okay, I will agree with that because especially as we're as a society are trying to believe women about their sexual history more.
Yeah.
The idea that but I like the idea that
adds to her character. Like, it's like, oh, she's just kind of crazy. And that doesn't excuse the things that she said or done, but it adds a dimension to her that other like villains don't have.
Well, what I liked about this is especially she's kind of this like she very much represents like this far right wing ideology, sort of, and this idea that they build this mystique. You know, Donald Trump did this, you know, like this, that they're winners, you know, that they invent a lore, Elon, Jeff, like that, you know, we're winners and we're iconic and we're better than everyone. We think better. We've experienced things. We've done more. You could do this too, but you're lazy. Like this whole mystique of why they're better. And it's all a lie. It's all based on lies.
Because they're all fucking dummies.
Yeah. It's all fake. And it's just like, no, you're just a sad, lonely, mean person. And you invented this lie to trick other people.
Only mean and charismatic, which is the that's the thing.
And because really the only thing Sue should be proud of is her relationship with Jean. I mean, I'm sure there's a few other things, but that's the thing. And I wish if we're gonna lean towards some redemption for Sue, that was it. And then which ties into, because the thing is, I don't think Will's that different from Sue in that he later calls them, a bunch of them, his greatest accomplishments. And I was like, what about Blaine is a Will accomplishment? Blaine trained at the Warblers, didn't really have any major interactions with Will.
He improved the Glee Club when he got there.
He improved the Glee Club.
So Will is his accomplishment, actually.
And like when Blaine was in the Glee Club, after everyone graduated, Will spent half that time in Washington. Like Finn was leading the Glee Club.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like Will also tries to like live through his students, you know. So yeah, I was like, yeah, tear this down. I mean, the stuff her mom said was pretty awful when she was like, oh, she bit me as she was coming out.
Oh my God. So Lyle was like, I think he was in here just like doing something on the computer, and I was in there screaming like, she bit my lip on the way out. I think I said it for like 5 minutes. I just kept repeating it to myself. I was like, I love that line though. I don't know how I feel about it. I was like, that is wild. Like, yeah, like,
well, because
it's horrifying because not only do we learn that her mom's very open, like, yeah, we basically abused her and neglected her. Not to mention that this is all said on Fox News, but also like the fact that her mother would go on TV to basically kind of shit talk her daughter in front of the entire nation.
Not things her daughter did as an adult.
Yes, like as a child, like it's like, okay, yeah, she was a little weird as a kid, but like also if we understand the circumstances you're telling us.
But she said I lied to her so I could leave her alone because I could never love her.
Yeah. Like how could you imagine? And then I'm going to jump ahead really quick. They sing a fucking song together. What?
Well, and then she never mentions the fact that by abandoning them, Sue was taking care of her younger sister.
She became a mother at 13 years old, 10 years old. Who even knows what age? Yes, absolutely. Her sister who had a disability that she couldn't work to help support, right? Like she basically was just caring for her as a friend and potentially as just like a general caregiver medically, but like to care for to care for someone, to anyone in your family or a friend in that manner can be very traumatic for someone because you have to dedicate your entire life to that person, and doing so at such a young age and then finding out that your parents were actually fine and they just did that. And then it all is aired on Fox News.
Like that mother should be roasted.
Yes. So that's why it's like, I definitely understand the catharsis of like giving Sue what she deserves. But I'm also like, in a weird way, they're weirdly humanizing her. And they're just kind of like, but then she's like fine with it. It's bananas.
There's some interesting stuff there. Because I like the idea that Glee struggles with the nuance of you can humanize and it still doesn't justify.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Caning students, putting them in cages, all that.
And I don't think any of this justifies it because there's no justification for abusing children, especially if they're not your own children. They're other people's children. I don't even know what could justify that. But also, I don't even know what could justify abusing your own children. So I don't know. Yeah. There's no justification. And then they are humanizing her. I don't know.
So Artie they interview the Glee Club. They're like, she's been trying to destroy us. Artie's like, she slashed my tires. Mercedes is like, she put mayonnaise in my like wig glue. Not about the time she tried to make me lose like 5 pounds in 1 week.
Right. Or took away Tots because she's like, you're fat.
Yeah.
Come
and
on.
then Blaine and Kurt talk about being trapped in
The
elevator.
elevator.
Blaine doesn't mention when she ruined his parents' credit.
That's right. Yeah.
Or put cement in his hair, or talked about his sexual activities via airplane, or told him to wear a thong. Tina isn't there to talk about being called Asian #1, but it's not like Fox News listeners would think that was a problem.
They'd be like, yeah, you're Asian. They'd be like, actually, you're Asian #5 in my book.
What does Samuel Larson say?
She cut off my dreads.
Dreads is there, dreadless.
Dreads is there, dreadless, yes.
Rachel talks about she went to my Broadway show just so she could walk out and then have sex all over my apartment.
Yet no one mentions the active caning policy because people on Fox News would be like, that's a great idea. And they never mention the fact that she put children in pig pens with piggy noses anytime they walked in and they were still fat. And no one mentions that because people who watch Fox News would be like, that's totally fine. I accept that.
I do think I like that Rachel's like, she had sex all over my apartment. Like, because
doesn't mention that it was with Chris Parnell of SNL.
That made me like Sue more. I feel like the viewers of Fox News are like, yeah, we hate that Rachel Berry chick. Her pilot was really bad.
Yeah, the people on Fox News like look at Rachel Berry like, fuck her.
Yeah.
It was cathartic. And then she's like, I wish you had interviewed some of my more successful. Well, this is later. So then they're like, who tipped us off? And she's like, oh, it was Will. They're like, actually, it was Becky Jackson. And Becky's like, you may know me as America's sweetheart, Becky Jackson. Like, who is Becky Jackson?
No one would consider her the sweetheart. She is a little devil, but we're proud of her.
She's a lover, a dreamer. How do I know this?
She is me.
I'm Becky Jackson. And he's like, Daryl is like, yeah, when she said Sue's secretary is a convict, or, Sue did this or that, I just assumed she was just like kind of telling stories. But then I realized, wait, this is real.
She's confiding in me and needs help.
Yeah.
And Becky's like, I'm so happy that I'm free of Sue Sylvester. I don't have to do her dirty work anymore. I did terrible things. When I found out she wouldn't let Gabe Blaine and the Warblers join the Glee Club, I was so upset. And
that's her breaking point.
Yeah. But it is like I'm happy for Becky. Like, Becky seems to have a better life now that she's free of Sue. And you can see how much it hurts Sue. And I think it was so smart to have that choice come from Becky. But again, Sue, it was an abusive relationship. You know,
we can't really feel that bad for Sue because honestly, ever since Becky, when we met Becky, she was treating her with a lot of respect.
Yeah.
And then she was just using her. And at that point, we're just like, well, we don't root for Sue. We root for Becky. We want her to get better and get out of this. So it's like when this comes up, it's like, good for Becky.
Yeah.
Getting out of there.
And then they say they're going to commercial, but he's rolling. We're very fascinating. He's like, yeah, we're rolling. He very obviously is like, and she's like, the world is tough and cruel, so I wanted the kids to be tough. Again, classic abusive way to cover it up, but I'll buy it. She's like, I wish I had interviewed my my more successful students, Quinn Fabres at Yale, who I kicked off the cheer team when she was pregnant. Brittany, MIT.
Santana, who I bullied for getting a boob job.
She was briefly a Broadway understudy and now is going to be a very high-class
prostitute. That was deeply disturbing because you know what we talked about? We're like, no, Santana, she's going to be an amazing PR professional. That's what we decided.
The reduction of Santana to sexuality, particularly sexuality for a male gaze, that the show insists on doing, even as making her like a very lesbian character.
Yeah.
It's just upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it turns out they were still running, and because she's like, I'm hurt, and then she's like, this is a crime against Fox News, known for being fair and balanced. And then she's like, Will probably did this. And they're like, well, actually, some people stood up for you. And it's Sheldon Beast, but they're modulating his voice. Then he's like, why?
And then the lights are off. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong for people who understand how film like filming these things work, they wouldn't actually like, would they actually be shooting that with the lights off, or would that be like an effect? Right?
It depends.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like now they just do the voice clip.
Yeah.
Now it's more like a blur in a voice clip.
Right.
I think shooting with the lights off is more dramatic and has been done before, but it's also like,
but they
how much money do you have to put into post work, you know?
They never unmodulate his voice, do they?
No.
It's just like it's all modulated.
Well, he's like, they helped me get out of an abusive relationship with Cooter, the football recruiter. I'm like, well, you're not hiding who you are, obviously. And then,
and that was the kind of the joke is like, well, he wasn't going to hide who he was. They just like, he's like, why are the lights off?
And then like she made sure I had my job when I transitioned. I mean, you know, that's all good, but that's all stuff Sue did for you personally.
Because she also bullied a potentially a gender non-conforming student. So
yeah. So it's like you can't. People do this all the time when they try and use like people's personal acts of like being good to a few people to justify the terrible way they treat almost everyone else.
That's not how that works.
And then Will gets up there. She's like, "This is Will Schuster." They're like, "Oh, Will," and she punches Geraldo. Again,
breaks his nose,
runs, storms off.
I would like to point out this is the second time that we see violence on Glee with blood.
The first one was what? Dodgeball?
It was dodgeball.
The most brutal sport.
According to Kurt. Yes. And then so they're interviewing Will, and he's like, Sue has tried to actively ruin my life, but she pushes everyone to be their best. She's a pusher.
Mean Girls reference.
She like makes everyone be their best self, and like
I don't
we're
think
all
that's
better
true
off.
at all.
And I'm like, that's not true. That is bullshit. You should not. I know they're trying to show how a good guy Will is, but like she's caning people. Like it's like you can't.
It doesn't make any sense because they had their sing off, which we didn't talk about.
Oh fuck! No, that's after. That's after. That's later.
Yeah, that's after this.
Right now.
Yeah. But so I guess to kind of wrap up this interview segment is that
Will defends her.
Will defends her for no reason because she has made his life hell. But also, I would argue that Santana's not a better person because of Sue. Santana's a better person because of Brittany. Santana's a better person because she grew, because she moved to New York and she hustled. Like, she is a better person because of herself and the other people she surrounded herself with.
Yeah, what about Sue made Quinn better?
Nothing. Quinn did that on her own. She had to learn hard lessons. She dyed her hair pink. She got a nose ring. She smoked a lot. She
tried to steal a baby.
She tried to steal a baby, but you know what? She bounced back. She's doing great. And she did that all on her own.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
slander.
It's just Will, you need to like. It's like he's so addicted to being the bigger person that he can't actually call out Sue for like abusive. Like she should not be allowed to work with children.
Nope.
And so she turns around, gets a job at Vocal Adrenaline,
which makes sense, honestly.
Has she not coached them before?
She coached Oral Intensity.
Okay.
Once again, shout out to the Glee Wiki. It's weird because they make a point to be like, you've never coached before, but she also coached. She was co-coaching the Glee Club with Will. Yeah.
That's true.
Times.
So she has two groups under her belt, not to mention multiple national championships with the Cheerios. So Clint can suck a dick.
You guys remember when? I think it was season 4 or season 5 of Gleeboot. We all made our predictions of where Sue was going to be at the end of season 6.
I do not remember this.
She was going to have a Glee club.
I would have guessed in jail. Like,
oh my God. You thought she was going to have her own Glee club.
Right.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Amazing.
Yeah. So it's so funny because the musical numbers are also inconsequential. We can just like quickly rattle them off. So we'll talk about Sue and her mom, but like to kind of sum up, Sue with Clint, everyone's least favorite Glee character. They do some song. I don't know, what was it?
Who does what song? What?
the void adrenaline, vocal adrenaline.
Oh, I don't even know what that song is called.
It's I
Me
have it
pulling
pulled
up the
right
Glee
here.
Wiki.
Oh, it's a Frank Stallone song from Staying Alive.
Far From Over.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was perfect for the moment. Very theatrical.
Yeah. And it's like
And
a
she's,
workout montage and
She's like-
practicing.
And she's
Clint's
like burning stuff too.
Yeah, and Clint's like, we'd be happy to have you as our coach. And I was like, shut up, you 35-year-old man.
Go ahead, B.
No, I was gonna say that's one thing. Like, okay, with the new directions as they are right now, they really do look like high schoolers. I think more than they ever did before.
Yeah.
And I think that may be trying to like age up like the Rachel, Kurt, Blaine, Sam of it all, and so they're kind of aging down the rest of them. But vocal adrenaline, yes, they all look like they're middle aged. Like,
yes, they are.
They are
close to
recruiting
retirement
people from other schools, like.
Yeah. And so then she meets Will on stage and he's like, I stood up for you. And she's like, I'm still going to destroy you. And they sing the final countdown and everyone comes in and watches them. And they're like,
this
that's
is a
weird.
song that one of the songs that we watched with Fake of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were in season 3 or 4.
What an experience to watch that for the first time out of context. Like, wow.
Wild. But you know what? Like,
the
we
context
understood
doesn't change it. Yeah.
It doesn't.
We understood the core of this is that like they're fighting again. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, it's just the fact that so many of the storylines are just too
I appreciated about the final countdown. Like, there's so many songs in Glee where you're like, was that fantasy? Was that real?
Yes.
Were they on stage in those costumes or not? Like, it could be either one. So I love that this one, they were like, no, they're like literally on stage, like playing air guitar. Like, I really thought that was funny and much needed because that the whole interview portion was freaking heavy, like just really like upsetting. And so it was funny.
Also, I want to quickly talk about the organ. She's not actually playing the organ like she's supposed to, but like Jane Lynch is not playing the organ. She's not hitting those keys when those keys are going off. But then Brad, the piano player / organ player now, comes out and plays. And I just love the idea of like Brad is just like, this is very normal. This is like my day job. Yep. And I sing so that these like, two people Brad? Can randomly. Yeah, he was surprised. So Brad's just like, yeah, this is what I do. I just sit here and play whenever they want me to, whatever they need me to.
Well, you know,
and
if
they're
anybody
just
hated
air
the Glee
guitaring
Club
behind me.
If anybody hated the Glee Club more than Sue, it was Brad. So
absolutely.
Very fitting.
Also,
what if he's behind all of this secretly?
I would have loved that.
He has mob connections. He's in gambling debt.
I just want everyone to know that the Glee Wiki is advertising the Super Mario Wiki to me. There's an ad for the Super Mario Wiki.
For a second, I thought you were going to say the Super Mario Brothers movie, and I was like, oof.
Yeah, with Chris.
The new one with
Rick Caruso, Voter, Pratt.
Yes, Chris Pratt. That's his name.
Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, so just quickly, Carol Burnett is there. And she's like, Mom, why did you say that shit? And then she's like, I love you. And I'm like, you just said you'll never love her on the news. You went on the record. And she's like, you were just hard because like we were different. You were always trying to light me on fire.
It's like, take your child to therapy at that point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And again, no mention of Jean. No acknowledgement.
It's like she doesn't even exist. It's like, that would be the perfect moment to be like, why did you do this to me? Like, I love Jean. I loved her so much, but you left me with her. You guys went off to Cabo or whatever.
Yeah. And you left me as a child to raise a child, and I didn't have the resources or the ability. This was whatever time period.
Emotional or mental capacity, honestly.
Like, and the conversation on disability, we forget how drastically it's changed because it's still like we need to come so far. But like, just, as someone with disability in my family, just knowing like what my grandma went through when she had a disabled son and what the doctors were saying, that like basically like this person doesn't deserve to live, and like by having them it'll ruin your life and your marriage, and like that's the time period Jean would have been born in.
But Jean was the older sibling, right? Or was she younger?
Unclear. I think she was older.
I think she was too.
She's older.
So it couldn't have been. I mean, it could have been that, but
it's just like it was there. It's not like Sue could have talked to someone at her school,
right?
Like, how do you help me do this? Like, this just wasn't something people talked about,
Right.
So it's just so awful. And then because like Sue was the one paying for that nursing home.
Yeah.
Carol Burnett was not at that funeral.
No, she absolutely was not. So
then she's like, yeah, you hated seeing those old movie musicals. And she's like, did you ever love Dad? I'm like, why is this a conversation? That has nothing to do with anything. And then she's like,
Absolutely
we
not.
met on the trolley. And then
we should sing about it.
She's like, you'd sing that with me? I'm like, she didn't deserve a song. And then they sing the trolley song. I wrote, Judy doesn't deserve this.
Judy did not deserve that.
To Judy Garland.
I thought it was gonna there was gonna be a twist and Sue was gonna end up pushing
Killing
her off
her.
stage or something. I don't know.
That's how they killed someone in Pretty Little Liars.
That would have been way better because I felt like they were trying to give them some sort of conclusion, but then they didn't.
It's
they
not
didn't
earned
reconcile.
either.
Yeah.
No.
So why even do it?
The mom's like, at some point, I hope we can have coffee as mother and daughter or as friends. I'm like, if a friend, not even my mom, if a friend went on record on the worst news station in America to tell me they could never love me.
One of the worst news stations. OAN is pretty bad.
To say they could never have loved me. And they decided this when they looked upon me as a baby.
All because she had a little slip of. How did she bite her lip on the way out? Was she born with teeth?
That's what she said.
Yes.
Okay. So she's an infant. She didn't mean to do that. And you're really going to hold her. You probably got some extra stitches. It's.
No, not to mention, who's going to know? You're in childbirth. There's no way you're going to be able to differentiate teeth.
That pain, exactly. You're just going to be going, ow, constantly. You don't you don't feel a little tiny prick.
No.
No, not
really
tiny baby
point.
teeth. No. She
So are you
on the
saying
way
a
out.
man definitely wrote that joke? Or someone who never experienced
did she have a
childbirth?
cesarean? And so then the baby just gnashed at her on the way out. But she did say bit my lip, so it would have to be the vagina. Unless she went to kiss her, she's covered in, whatever guts, and kissed her and bit her face lip. So maybe we're just talking about vaginas for no reason. That's on brand for me, honestly.
I'm just saying holding a grudge against a baby.
Psychotic.
Yeah.
Absolutely psychotic. Especially for something like that. It's a baby. It's coming into the world for the first time. It can't control its mouth.
Yeah.
It doesn't know what's happening.
Okay. So that's kind of everything. Sue is holding it when she's burning stuff. She's holding on to this doll. And I don't remember where the doll is from.
Was it herself? That's what I was wondering.
It's a doll
she's
of
burning
herself.
all the Hurt Locker
Trophies,
stuff, and
yeah.
she puts herself in the fire, but then she pulls herself back out. So is that her being like, I'm the only person I have left, and I'm gonna go coach vocal adrenaline? Like that, I guess that's her moment of being like, I'm choosing me, so I'm gonna destroy
You've
the Glee
always
Club.
chosen me.
Yeah, you got married to yourself, Sue.
It was like at the end of the day, all this shit happened, but what really happened to Sue as a character? She literally just got to go work with children again.
Yeah, she shouldn't be allowed to work with children in the
taking
same.
down the Glee Club. Like that's it.
The superintendent would have blocked her. You would be on a sex offender list. Maybe
He would have called the Akron superintendent real quick.
If you made a voodoo doll
no.
of a 13-year-old.
Yeah,
that could get you on some kind of list.
You're on a list for sure.
Lists, probably.
If you have a shrine to including romantic pictures of two minors.
Also, she was on national television. The internet exists. They're gonna Google who's this random person who just walked into our school and started coaching the team. Maybe she's volunteering.
Also, Clint is he doesn't care. He just wants to win. Because he's already 35. He's still in high school. He needs to get out.
He doesn't have any more time.
Yeah.
But the doll, I feel like the show is trying to say this doll was something it Becky made it. I don't know. And I'm like, Usually on this podcast, I'm the one who like remembers shit that happened on the show.
I think it's the first time we saw it.
I feel like season 6 has become so self-referential that I'm like, even I am like, did this happen? Like,
if the Glee Wiki doesn't have it, it probably isn't anything.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
That's usually where I go.
Because, I mean, honestly, though, like those people are very thorough. Whoever makes it and curates that, like they're very thorough. They literally
are a lifesaver, especially for podcasting.
Yeah.
Like fucking kudos.
They'll be like, this episode features the 15th song by a soloist with brown eyes. And like,
literally, that's basically the facts on here for this episode.
And it's like, you know what? That's going to be helpful eventually.
You know what? It's the second longest title. The only one longer is the Untitled Rachel Berry Project.
Oh my God.
From the Glee Wiki.
That is a fun fact, actually.
Right?
It's
really
like fun.
It means absolutely nothing, but I love it.
Yeah, so it really should just be called The Fall of Sue Sylvester. But yeah. I guess because they were singing Rise by Darren Criss.
You're right.
Yeah. And we're at the end. I mean, just before we get into our closing segments, how do we feel about the fall of Sue Sylvester? I'm here for it. I'm like, thank God. Why is she allowed near children? Like,
but also she gets to still stay by children.
I know. That's
so it's like I don't know. It feels just like we're just shitting on her and nothing comes of it. It's just like
there's no consequences here.
Yeah.
So it's like it is cathartic, but it's also not because like she's not like no one's being like, yeah, you know what, caning children, it's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Will says she's good with kids.
She's not. She's not a good teacher at all. In fact, I feel like she's just abusive.
I think the only reason why Will defended her is because he knows that if she goes down, he's going down.
Or Fox News paid him to say something.
No, I think Allyssa got it. I think Allyssa. B, what do you think? Do you have any thoughts on Sue's fall?
No, I think you guys said it all.
We said what
it's like it's really getting me that like only Will and Beast like spoke in her affirmative. Like that's just random. Like if before this episode you told me this was gonna happen, like there's gonna be this interview and these people are gonna take Sue down for what she did to them, but some people are gonna defend her. Those are just not the two I would have picked.
I agree.
You know, like I could see like the kids, like the Cheerios and stuff, still being a little bit brainwashed about it because they all have mommy issues. Let's be real.
Especially Brittany.
Yeah.
Brittany was very pro Sue during the wedding episode.
And I could even see Quinn. Like Sue and Quinn kind of always ended on a good note.
Yes. A note of respect. Absolutely.
I think Quinn would have said something very diplomatic. She would have said something like, Sue's behaviors definitely were unacceptable. But, you know, she taught me a lot. Like something that would kind of like, no matter what happened, Quinn would still end up on top. I think that's how she would.
Maybe we're at the end of season 6, right? And so the writers are still trying to fulfill specific contracts. Like we need Becky to be featured at least one more time, and we can't find anyone else to, you know, defend Sue, and the lines for this person are cheaper, so let's have Will do it.
So Will do it,
right? Because like, well, the wedding is like the last time. The wrap up of like the Santana Brittany storyline, pretty much. Yes. So like that's the end of their contract for this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, then why?
They're literally just running out of people.
Yeah. What does Marley's mom feel about Sue? Yeah. Samuel Larson.
So random.
Yeah. What about Jake and Marley and Unique and Ryder, who she made transfer schools?
Ran out of school.
Yeah. Kicking a student out of school. That's embarrassing. It's
let alone multiple students.
I'm going to say this on the record. An adult having beef with a child, embarrassing.
Yeah.
You should be embarrassed.
Troubling.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of high school teachers, though, that's why they went to teaching. Yeah. They wanted to bully some kids.
I know. I have a sibling in public
so
education, and they're like, I can't understand some of these adults. when my sibling worked in after school childcare, an adult woman started a rumor that a little boy was gay, to the point where his dad like said he couldn't like play with glitter anymore and he had to go play sports.
Oh my God.
That's depressing. That's so sad.
Yeah. So these people exist. I used to always make jokes about Terry getting chased off a cliff and crushed by a rock like the evil queen in Snow White. And part of me is like, maybe that would be the satisfying end to Sue. Like lightning strikes, she falls off a cliff.
It's kind of like uninspired too, because it's like, I know it's Glee and the Glee Club's the whole thing, but it's like, okay, so now we're going to come down to a Glee Club competition and either Will's going to win or Sue's going to win. Like, it's just back to the same thing. Like, we've done it so many times. We're looping
back to Will being the protagonist, like as it was in sort of like the first half of season 1. It's strange.
Yeah.
When like, even though like I don't care about Rachel, I still care about her more than Will and Sue.
Yeah.
They've given Will a happy ending like 5 times already. Like, it's fine. Like, he did not have to come back again. He could have just been gone. Yeah, we could have moved on.
I would have loved if this was a committee Glee Club run by all the graduates and Will wasn't even here.
I love that. What I really wish they would have done is this time jump is like only like a year, right? Or something.
They could have done like a legit time jump.
A legit time jump, I think, would have been really good. It would not have been, it would have made way more sense. What if they were all right out of college? That's what One Tree Hill did. And I think that was very successful.
Riverdale did that too. They jumped ahead. They skipped ahead of college.
Yeah, until like they were out of college.
Because it works, because by then the actors have aged enough where they don't look like teenagers anymore. They look like adults.
Yeah, it's like you put them in different clothes. They're adults now.
Yeah.
Because it would make way more sense than like, oh, these graduates who moved across the country are just back all the time. Like,
all the time.
You're suspending disbelief to the point of like breaking it. So,
I mean, they should have jumped in season 4 because like this Finn helping with the Glee Club would have made so much more sense.
Mm-hmm.
If he was at least student teaching.
Yeah. Okay. Tina time. Tina was nowhere to be found. And I think if you ask Tina, do you want to talk shit about someone from McKinley? You should be like, sign me up. I will open Skype from Brown and I will be on this interview.
Skype. I actually think that Tina would not want to be involved in Rachel's storyline, but perhaps in Sue's storyline, it'd be like, she called me Asian number 1 or number 2. I never figured out which.
Yeah.
That would be her line.
Mm-hmm. And she'd be like, also, are we here to talk about the shit Will did? And they're like, no, just Sue. She's like, oh no, because I have a list.
Yeah.
Also, this is my friend Marley. She's on FaceTime.
The cat's face just like right there. Podcat.
Yes, all 3 of them. Podcat.
Yeah, Tina wasn't here. She had 0 lines. Let's talk.
Poor Tina.
Poor Tina. MVP's
disappeared.
But honestly, she's in a better place. She's not dead, but she is in a better place.
Maybe like because Jenna Ushkowitz went on to like join Waitress. Like I just like to think she's like she just cut off all ties with her. She's like, I don't talk to those people anymore.
Thriving.
It's like I don't know any of y'all. Just thriving.
Yeah. B, who's your least?
In the last episode?
She is. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Right,
yeah.
Good.
B, who's your least favorite character?
Mine.
Yeah.
In
or
like
least valuable player this episode. Sorry, I just like said something versionary.
Just in this episode, I was like, Sandy Ryerson was going to be my answer.
Absolutely.
If we talk about who shouldn't be teaching children.
Sandy Ryerson. Yeah.
My least favorite character in this episode, honestly, Sue's mom. Fuck Sue's mom. Like, I know it's Carol Burnett and she's a national treasure, and like, I'm really glad that she's on the show and she sang a song and all that stuff. But like, I have mommy issues too. I guess this is them being like, Sue had mommy issues, and so then all her students had mommy issues with her, and
listen,
that's what blew up the whole thing.
I got mommy issues. I got daddy issues. I got grandma issues. Like, I'm not here abusing children.
Yeah, no, for real.
Like, fuck Carol Burnett's character in this show. Like, also, I think like she was also horrible when we first meet her.
Yeah.
And then we found out she's even worse.
Yeah.
It's like,
just new lows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it was such a shit on Sue parade, but like I don't feel any better. at the end of it.
Yeah, like it was cathartic, but it also was just like, but what did I learn?
But we
from
ended
this?
in the
Yeah.
same place we began.
We end where we began. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's what's frustrating. That's exactly it.
And I know how it ends for Sue at the show, and it's upsetting. It's upsetting.
Did she become president of the United States? No, don't you dare sip whatever you're drinking, Cullen. I can't. I'm not coming back next week. I'm busy that day.
Who was your LVP this week, Hannah?
Carol Burnett's character.
Yeah.
What is her actual name in the show?
Hold on, I got it.
Doris? Isn't it Doris? Doris Sylvester?
The only iconic
And I only know that
Doris-
because my cousin's name is Dory.
Dory.
And that's the only reason I remembered.
I almost said the only iconic Doris is the hat from Meet the Robinsons, but Doris
Love
Day.
that movie. You're right. Doris Day. But also the hat named Doris comes first.
Yeah. Allyssa.
What a great twist in the movie. Can we talk about that movie instead?
Allyssa, LVP.
Yeah, I'm going with Doris.
Yeah.
Not a nice person.
I mean, is there anyone else?
I mean,
Sue was like,
I'm gonna go with Sue. I mean, I would probably if none of you pick Doris, I'd pick Doris, but just for diversity's sake, I'm gonna choose
affirmative
Sue.
action strikes again.
Yeah. I saw the 2015. Thank you. Like our men's rights jokes. Yeah. I saw the 2015 Cinderella remake, so I know a tragic backstory means you don't have an excuse to abuse children. So I'm sorry, Sue. Your mom is objectively terrible, but you also have done multiple things that should bar you from being near anyone, let alone young people, ever again.
Yeah.
Like
Young, impressionable people.
Just like someone slamming you against someone caning you, someone putting you in it. Like, that's like
someone
camp. That's not a high school. That's like a
We're eating tots.
Yeah.
It's a prison.
And the thing is, I know people like her, and maybe not to quite that extent. Like, there are teachers like that all over America and the world.
Who get into it for the wrong reasons, and then they take out their issues on children.
And it's one thing to want to see your students succeed, but she says that she feels her own success by watching them succeed. So she doesn't want them to succeed for them. She wants them to succeed for her.
Exactly. And that's toxic.
Yeah. And the original Glee cast cover of Toxic, not the season 5 cover.
Exactly. what was that? 100? Episode 100?
Yeah.
And we're like,
oh my
no.
Gosh. No, you were the week after 100, B, right?
Oh, yeah. We talked about 100, though. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like full circle. It's like when we had Glee Aggressive back on, they referenced the Peter Pan show that they were on.
Yes.
That's fun.
All right. Let's talk about MVPs. B, who's your MVP?
My MVP. Honestly, Becky Jackson. Queen shit.
Yeah.
I love seeing her step into her full power and tell Sue off, because she really did. Like, I do think Sue did a lot for her, but like you could say the same thing about, Quinn, Santana, Brittany. Like, it's not that Sue didn't do anything for anyone. It's just that you shouldn't be breaking laws for her.
Yeah.
Perjuring yourself.
Or being
that's
abused.
A felony.
Exactly. Like, so that was badass.
I chose Carmen Thibodeau, not played by Whoopi Goldberg, just for the fun of it. I was like, I can't name another person who I think deserves any recognition. Sorry.
You're not
Maybe
wrong.
the person who burned down Dalton Academy.
Jane.
Oh yeah, no, you know what? If it's Jane, I give her. Yeah, she was like, at least we won't have to have in this competition. Oh fuck, now they're in my club.
Yeah, they're in every day.
I mean, if she did it, I support her, and I won't tell her secret.
Alyssa?
This is a hard episode to choose the most valuable player.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go with
Okay. Oh, please don't cry again.
I'm not gonna cry.
Did Sue take Blaine and Kurt to the room? It had been a couple weeks since we did that episode, and I edited it, and I laughed so hard when that happened. Oh God,
Hannah, you're gonna make me cry. Becky's boyfriend, I think, because he just like sat in the room and supported her.
Absolutely,
that was all he needed to do.
He knew his
and
place.
that's what he did it.
I did
love Daryl.
I did feel bad that like she was like, "Oh, I can't understand you," and Daryl kept translating, and Becky was obviously like pissed,
right?
Because the thing is, you could understand her.
Yes, but I mean,
refusing to understand her.
That was Sue was
Sue's
being
fault.
a
Yeah.
dick.
Yes.
Sue was being a terrible person.
It was him supporting Becky, even if she was frustrated by it. Like, he was trying to help her because Sue was like, "Becky doesn't speak to me like this."
Yeah. It has to be Becky, but I mean, because she's an icon in this episode, she's America's sweetheart, and like,
yes, queen.
I know her,
America's little devil, and I support her for that.
Yeah,
I think that's totally fine.
But shout out to Sam for his hot Midwest middle class prep attire and his little Warbler out of place, out of scene Warblers dance in the background.
He's not even on the team, but yet he's trying on the uniforms for the students.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Right. He's like not a part of the Glee Club committee.
He's an adult
leadership, but
yeah,
he's not a part
I
of
mean,
it
does take a village to raise children, and this is the village. Sam, Rachel, Kurt, Sue,
Blaine,
Mercedes, Santana, Brittany, Tina. It takes a village. A village, even if they are in different places in the country.
Okay, I was like, and we're done, but there's still music on this show. The songs are
barely though. This is not the episode for music.
Rather Be, the Trolley song, Far From Over, The Final Countdown, Rise. Bee, what was your least favorite song?
Ooh, what a fun.
I'm like,
I mean, like truly. Honestly, the trolley song, it was just unnecessary.
It's like they wanted to do this number, and they got all the way up to season 6, and they're like, "Fuck, we haven't used it yet. We already paid for the rights. We wasted $200,000 on this song. What are we gonna do? We're just gonna do it, I guess." So I second that trolley song.
There's only 4 songs, right?
5.
What? Okay.
Rather Be, the Trolley song, Far From Over, The Final Countdown, Rise. So Hannah, is the trolley song your least favorite?
I'm gonna go with the trolley song also.
I'm gonna go with Far From Over. From sheer boredom, couldn't pick it out of a lineup of one.
Honestly, same, because you're saying this to me, and I was like, no recollection.
It's not ringing a bell.
That's a
not
good
like
point.
the trolley song.
Unlike the trolley.
It's ringing lots of bells. You're absolutely right, Alyssa. Excellent. That was excellent.
Just like Jessica Day's handbell choir in New Girl. B, what was your favorite song?
Honestly, Rise was my favorite. I forgot it existed, forgot Darren wrote it. It is incredibly cheesy and formulaic, but always a sucker for the group number at the end. And it was a good one. I like teared up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. That's really cringy because I just watched this episode out of context completely. But I was like, they're a team. They sing the song. Yeah. They got me.
I'm going with Rather Be. It's fun. I'm glad Jane got some stage time, finally.
Yeah. Despite them calling her a stage hog, she does not get much.
No, and she definitely deserves it because she's also very good. Like, she's one of the best vocalists. Like, what's his name? Postmodern Gay does some singing. I was like, get out of here. So, yeah.
Postmodern Gay, star of Postmodern Stare, everyone's least favorite Glee ship.
Postmodern.
Alyssa, what was your favorite?
I'll go with Rather Be also because I like Hannah, really enjoyed that Jane got some screen time, got some solos. There, honestly, I didn't really like any of the songs that happened, but that was the one that I liked the most.
I mean,
and it's 2 seconds into the episode, and I remembered that. I was like, okay, cool. I latch on to that idea.
Yeah, there's no song I would rather listen to in this episode.
There's no song I'd rather be.
Yeah, rather be is my choice. So that brings us to the Sue Sylvester has fallen.
Is that it?
We did it.
Wow.
Wow.
That's the penultimate episode. Next week. Next week. No. Is next week Christmas episode?
Next week is our Christmas special.
Ooh.
Okay.
We will be talking about, couldn't tell you the title of this movie, the Lindsay Lohan Court Overstreet Christmas movie.
What's it called?
Is it Falling for Christmas?
No, I think you're right. It's a Court Overstreet Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie. I think that's what they called it. Let's Google it.
Yeah. In the meantime, Bee, where can people find you and Glee on the Rocks?
Woo woo. First of all, thank you guys so much for having me. Oh my god, my cat's attacking my
Your cat's like, get the fuck off this podcast.
She's being so cute for like 5 minutes, just sitting here like she was on the podcast with us. Cute. Not anymore. Evil. Anyways, thank you guys so much for having me again.
So
I
much
can't
fun.
believe you guys have almost finished your whole like Glee thing. That is such an accomplishment that I hope to do one day as well. Just the commitment, the drive, the dedication is really admirable. So
Thank you. It has
Love
been a
you.
death march.
It has taken years off my life. I'm probably going to be done with life at 45. So I should start saving for retirement now.
yeah, and then this is the end. But yeah, so Glee on the Rocks, we are, wherever you get your podcasts, Instagram, we have a Patreon where we do mini episodes on a bunch of different stuff. We talk a lot about our days back in the Glee fandom while it was airing, and also, what the Glee cast is up to now and everything in between. And then I am on Instagram at bekind_rewind, but it's B with 2 E's, like a bumblebee. So yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You can follow Gleeboot on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Well, I don't know how long Twitter is going to last. We're at Gleeboot Pod. We're also on Tumblr, which I think is where all the Twitter people are going to go. We are gleebootpod.tumblr.com.
You can follow me on Instagram at Cullen Ever After.
You can follow me on Instagram at a.m.swearingen.
What you got going on over there?
On my
Anything
Instagram?
lately? Yeah.
Yeah, not
Nothing
much.
lately. That's okay.
Nothing new.
You're
Nothing
busy.
new.
Holidays are
busy.
coming up. You got shit
Well,
to do.
here's
I
the
get
thing
it.
about holidays. I end up making a ton of shit that I could put on Instagram, but I
Right.
don't want to because it's going to ruin the surprise.
True. So you hopefully in January
Yeah.
you'll have lots
I'm
of
taking all the
content.
pictures right now, and then they're all
Yeah.
going to be on Instagram.
So just wait till January. She's gonna have just every single day something new, probably.
No, I'm too lazy for that. I just will post it all in one
Okay.
shot.
Maybe okay, it's gonna be a series of 15 slides. Just a recap of the Christmas presents she made people.
In the meantime, everyone, please, we have the link on our Instagram. Vote in the Gleekies.
Your vote matters.
Your vote matters.
Even if you don't think it does, it does.
There's
in this
no
election
electoral
and other,
college.
if you're in Georgia, please go vote. Please do the right thing. Please vote.
Yeah.
By the time this comes out, you won't be quite eligible to vote because that's in like early December, but it will be very close. Make a plan to vote, please. Please. Our democracy literally depends on it. Okay, I'm done.
But yeah, also vote in the Gleekies.
Yeah, but that's more important. Vote in the Gleekies. Absolutely.
Yeah, vote in the Gleekies. And we have just some special things coming up to celebrate the end of the pod. And we look forward to
The
them.
formal end of the pod.
The formal
We might
end.
do
Well, we might
things
come
here
back
and
and
there.
check in every once in a while.
a documentary that we didn't get invited to be on.
Yeah.
That's it. Next
Yeah.
week is the final part of Glee as we know it before we get to the epilogue episodes.
But you have to wait till after the Christmas special.
Fuck, that's right. We literally just said that 5 minutes ago.
Which it actually is called Falling for Christmas.
Yep.
Okay.
You're right.
All right. Well, tune in for that, everybody.
Bye.
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 Gleeboot.